Chapter 81 Wen Xiong, Get Out. After a while, Yi Shiwen was surrounded by disciples of the Shaoyang branch. Who are you? How dare you come to our Shaoyang branch to be wild? Many disciples of the Shaoyang branch were angry, and there were also disciples who had gone to the Qingfeng mountain branch to make trouble. They recognized Yi Shiwen and were immediately frightened. At that time, Yi Shiwen took the top disciple among them, Huo Cheng, to clean up the scene like a lost dog. They are still visible to this day. Let Wen Xiong of your Shaoyang branch come out. Yi Shiwen said loudly. The Shaoyang branch wanted to discredit the Qingfeng mountain branch when the elders of the Qingfeng mountain branch were not around, but Yi Shiwen just followed the method. If it can't be successful, it depends on whose fist is bigger. Huo Cheng's fist wasn't big enough, and Yi Shiwen was choking it up. Who are you? Senior brother Wen's name is also what you can call. At this time, a warrior in his 20s walked out of the courtyard and looked at Yi Shiwen proudly. People from the Qingfeng mountain branch sect dare to come to our Shaoyang branch sect, they are courting death. The young man sneered, stepped out, and attacked Yi Shiwen in the next instant. Instantly released. Yi Shiwen immediately knew who this person was. This person's name was Shu Liang. This time, the Shaoyang branch had 3 disciples of the congenital level. Huo Cheng had already been crippled by him. Since this person was not Wen Xiong, then it must be Shu Liang. Shu Liang's strength is extremely strong, almost not under Huo Cheng, let alone Wen Xiong, who is superior. This time, the strength of the Shaoyang branch is indeed very strong, no wonder he dares to bully him so straight. However, Yi Shiwen's strength can even compete with the innate 3rd level masters who have transformed 50% of his true energy, and his realm is also the peak of the innate 1st level, far superior to Shu Liang. Yi Shiwen raised his hand to block. There was a loud explosion of bang. Shu Liang's offensive was blocked by Yi Shiwen, and a terrible wave of air was swept away. When the innate masters fight against each other, they can easily blast the air between their fists and feet, causing the air to vibrate, twisting and fluctuating like the surface of a lake. Shu Liang's eyes flashed with surprise. Obviously he didn't expect that Yi Shiwen could easily block his blow. Although his strike just now seemed rushed, only he knew that it had already started long before he was discharged from the hospital. Build up your strength. You want to be caught off guard by Yi Shiwen, who would have known that Yi Shiwen would stop him so easily. It's me. Yi Shiwen sneered and kicked out like lightning, accompanied by a burst of crackling air. Yi Shiwen's speed was so fast that even the air was kicked out. Shu Liang was well prepared and immediately jumped, avoiding Yi Shiwen's kick. Yi Shiwen didn't stagnate at all, and he didn't give him time to breathe, and immediately slapped him. Lyman, be resolute. For a time, it was like thunder for 9 days. Bang! Shu Liang raised his hand to block, and suddenly there was a crackling sound, but the bones were directly interrupted by Yi Shiwen's palm. How terrifying is the power of Yi Shiwen's 19 flying dragons, and Shu Liang was only able to reach to the power of the flying dragon as nothing but Yi Shiwen's opponent. Yi Shiwen didn't do his best, and with just one palm, he directly interrupted his resisting arms. The sound of a broken bone was terrifying and terrifying. Ah! Shu Liang screamed again and again. Although he had already known Yi Shiwen's strength before, he knew it when Huo Cheng was carried back like a dead dog, but he never thought that he and Yi Shiwen were so different. Even Yi Shiwen couldn't stop a single blow. Immediately after, Yi Shiwen slammed the palm of his hand almost without a gap. This is the Kuei slash. Yi Shiwen has already practiced the Kuei slash to the fullest, blended in. Yi Shiwen's physical body is comparable to gold and iron, and the power of using his bare hands to perform the moon slash is no less than that of using a knife. This palm was sent, using the skill of Kuei slash's force, coupled with Yi Shiwen's mastery of the essence of Lei Shou. This palm is fast, and the force is terrifying. Bang! Yi Shiwen slapped Shu Liang's chest with a palm. Shu Liang's sternum was cut off in unison, and his inner palace was injured. This was also because Yi Shiwen had kept his strength, otherwise, Shu Liang could have been killed with just one palm. However, Shu Liang was still shot directly into the crowd by this terrifying force and passed out. Quiet. The scene was all silent. No matter which branch disciple, seeing that Yi Shiwen defeated Shu Liang with ease, they all gasped. Immediately afterwards, a buzzing discussion filled the air. How is it possible that Shu Liang was defeated by this person in just a few breaths? The two pictures just now were mediocre, but they are very capable. I am afraid that the people from the Shaoyang branch really kicked the iron plate this time, and they lifted a stone and smashed their feet. This person is so powerful, I'm afraid Wen Xiong may not be an opponent. There are so many geniuses this year. In previous years, the innate realm has been very high. This year, the innate realm can only be a stepping stone for others. Then Shu Liang and Huocheng also have a lot of fame. But now it has become a stepping stone for others. That's the way it is. These geniuses are only fighting for invincibility, the road to invincibility, and the bones are paved. I don't even have the qualifications to become the paving bones. After this battle, regardless of the outcome, this person's name will spread throughout the sect. I'm afraid it won't be long before many people will come to challenge. Shu Liang was slapped with a palm, and Yi Shiwen took another step forward and said, Wen Xiong, if you're still a man, get out of here for me. Who are you? Sign up. At this time, a purple-robed youth named Qiu in the courtyard stepped out. You are Wen Xiong, Yi Shiwen said with a glance. Who are you? Wen Xiong looked at Yi Shiwen and said. Qingfeng Mountain Branch Sect, Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen said lightly, is it you who hurt my eldest brother? It turns out that you are Yi Feng's younger brother, but you dare to come to harass you are not small, and you offend the rules. Wen Xiong said. Recommend a friend's book, Sword Against the Sky. The young Xuantian, who obtained the divine sword and sword spirit, has become a peerless genius in the way of kendo from ancient times to the present. ISBN 2,371,777. Chapter 82. It turns out that you are Yi Feng's younger brother, but you dare to come to harass you are not small, and you offend the rules. Wen Xiong said. Zongui. Yi Shiwen sneered. If they really cared about the rules, they wouldn't come looking for trouble. The so-called rules are just a pretext to protect the weak. The real strong, who cares about these rules and regulations? Rules. Why didn't Wen Xiong say anything about Zongui before, but now it seems funny that he wants to say Zongui? Stop talking nonsense. I'm here today for one thing. How did you hurt my eldest brother? I'll hit you back. Yi Shiwen said with a sneer. You want to court death? Wen Xiong said angrily. He was also a genius in his daily life. No one in the Shaoyang branch dared to plunder its peak. Yi Shiwen's words made him extremely angry. Before Wen Xiong could finish speaking, his figure almost dragged out an afterimage, and a terrifying sound of breaking through the air after breaking the sound barrier swept across the sky. Many onlookers were directly shocked by the terrifying sound, causing their eardrums to bleed and dizzy. Chang. A long knife appeared in Wen Xiong's hand, which was taken out of the storage ring. In just a split second, a terrifying knife beam was slashed towards Yi Shiwen. Wen Xiong's strength is much stronger than that of Huocheng or Shu Liang before. It is the realm of innate second level, and has transformed 30% of his true energy. Although it is only 10% more than them, but the strength has almost doubled. Yi Shiwen didn't say a word. The long knife behind him was unsheathed with a sound of chang, and it rose into the sky. It was a terrifying sword energy. Between the slashes, a bright moon slowly rose and fell down instantly. After having thoroughly understood the moves of the sword technique, the true meaning of the evolved sword technique. Although the swordsmanship that Wen Xiong cultivated was of extremely high quality, it was obvious that it was impossible for him to be like Yi Shiwen. The two sides are already far apart from the mastery of this pair of swordsmanship. What is this artistic conception? I actually saw the sword intent suppressed by the full moon. A disciple next to him was stunned. This kind of sword intent can only appear in the artistic conception of exercises above innate, and although the full moon slash is said to have the power of only advanced exercises, the cold moon slash is a real sword technique of the innate realm. Although the power is different, they all contain artistic conception. Only the exercises that contain the artistic conception can be called innate exercises. If the artistic conception is not practiced, there is no difference between the innate exercises and the advanced exercises, at least the gap is not that big. However, once the artistic conception is practiced, the party who has not practiced the artistic conception will be in a state of destruction. These onlookers are the leaders of each branch, otherwise they would not be able to come and worship the main sect. They know very well about the artistic conception. Even if some people can comprehend the Dacheng realm, not everyone can comprehend the artistic conception. At their age and with this strength, it is only rare that they can realize the artistic conception. It's really an artistic conception. I only saw it when an elder was practicing. My God, how could it appear on an ordinary person? This artistic conception is actually really artistic conception. With this artistic conception alone, this Yi Shiwen will probably be ranked among the top 10 disciples this year. Countless people were stunned, let alone Wen Xiong, who faced him directly. A terrifying pressure faced him, and the mood of this hand fell, as if the sky was falling, and that bright moon was not real. It exists, but he can really feel it, as if walking on the road in the moonlight, the bright moon in the sky all the way to the ground, revealing everything in detail, and any secrets are nowhere to be found under the white moonlight hidden, the feeling of being transparent inside and out in an instant. That oppressive feeling made him feel at a loss. How is this possible? How is this possible? When she didn't want to believe it. You must know that even if you practice a move, you can only say that you have mastered the essence, but only after you have cultivated the artistic conception can you truly master the power of this move. Because any cultivation method above the innate is realized by the ancestors in the Tao, the so-called Tao method is naturally like this, and there will be a mood, and this mood is actually the fundamental thing that prompted the ancestors to realize this trick. Scream. And only after truly comprehending this trick to the extreme, can this terrifying scene be evolved using the sword technique. The clearer it is, the more terrifying it is. And Yi Shiwen's artistic conception of the rising moon map has been clear to the extreme, indicating that Yi Shiwen has completely mastered this trick. Simply unbelievable. In Wen Xiong's eyes, this is simply unimaginable. Thinking about it, he has already mastered the swordsmanship, but he is still far from developing the artistic conception, but this one obviously looks younger than him. People can actually evolve this level of artistic conception. If you say it, you will scare a lot of people to death. He would never know that Yi Shiwen has a special space. For others, to understand the mood, they must be very talented and have a chance, but for Yi Shiwen, as long as there is enough spirituality stones can be accumulated to create understanding. Perhaps Yi Shiwen is not the most talented, nor is he the strongest. As long as he has the spirit stone, his cultivation speed will reach a terrifying level. For others, cultivation and comprehension are like it is in a huge library called Tao. There are all kinds of books, you have to have a high talent, know which direction to look for, and you have to be lucky to be able to find just the right one for you. Book. But Yi Shiwen is not like this. He seems to have an intelligent book identification system. As long as he pays by swiping his card, whatever books he wants will be automatically sent to him continuously, without having to search in the vast sea of books by himself. For those geniuses, the efficiency is several times higher, let alone those ordinary people. Yi Shiwen slashed down with this knife, and the artistic conception was suppressed. It was a smashing rot. Wen Xiong's knife chi was like a rabble, and it was completely vulnerable to a single blow, of collapsed. And when the two blades of knife chi rubbed in the air, they also made a huge and sharp whistling sound, setting off waves of sound waves. Boom. Finally, Yi Shiwen's sword chi instantly overwhelmed Wen Xiong's sword chi, and slammed into Wen Xiong's body. Bang! Wen Shiben couldn't even stop the knife, so he flew out and spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 83 Famous. Everyone is silent. One move, just one move. Wen Xiong, who had already made a name for himself in this class of disciples, was blasted away, and his innate sword chi was crushed in an instant. Compared with the acquired innate chi, the innate chi was completely different. The innate chi that had transformed 30% was in fact already dense and tenacious, but it was still far from Yi Shiwen's opponent. With the help of Yi Shiwen's artistic conception, he instantly crushed his sword chi. Everyone knew that if Yi Shiwen hadn't stopped, Wen Xiong would have been split in half in an instant. To the extent that he could kill people at will in a large audience, at least Yi Shiwen did not have the strength to surpass the clan rules. However, as long as they don't die, no matter how much trouble they make today, the people of the Shaoyang branch can only swallow the bitter fruit. It really hits the iron plate, and in the end it will only end up with an over-the-top evaluation. It's over, it's over. The more far-reaching disciple thought secretly. This time the Shaoyang branch sect is completely loaded, and the subsequent internal examinations will not need to participate at all. It must be a complete defeat. This main sect's entry-level assessment is not just as simple as a general assessment. In fact, it is directly related to the development of each branch in the future, because the general sect provides resources for each branch based on the performance of these people. In the eyes of the main sect, the branch sect was originally a place to send elite disciples to the main sect. Of course, the more powerful disciples were provided, the more awards they would receive from the main sect, and the more resources they would receive in the coming year. This is also the reason why each branch spares no expense in cultivating these geniuses. The Shaoyang branch sect, who has no innate masters, can only become a target for others to ravage and lose before the battle. It is conceivable that this year's Shaoyang branch sect will definitely be at the bottom, which will directly affect the allocation of resources in the coming year. When the Shaoyang branch sect went to the Qingfeng Mountain branch to look for something, it was not necessarily without this consideration. The confrontation between the two directly confirmed the result of this competition between the two branches. The Qingfeng Mountain branch will also become famous and become an iron plate, while the Shaoyang branch will become a soft persimmon. This time, he is going to be completely famous. An onlooker disciple murmured. It was like throwing a big rock on a calm lake, and in an instant, waves of waves were set off. The news that Yi Shiwen defeated Wen Xiong of Shaoyang's branch sect, but within a short time, it spread to more than 100 branch sects. Originally, among the thousands of disciples, Wen Xiong was not the strongest one, he could only be said to be a little famous. Even if he defeated Wen Xiong, he should not have had such a big reaction, but someone saw Yi Shiwen slashed out with a knife. The matter of the sword was stabbed out, and Yi Shiwen suddenly became the target of public criticism and the focus of countless people's eyes. In the courtyard of the branch sect of Qingfeng Mountain, Yi Feng is moving his body. He was originally a congenital master, and his resilience is very strong. In addition, there are many medicinal pills given by Yi Shiwen. Now it is not a big problem. I believe that he will recover completely before the assessment. Not a problem. The two brothers and sisters Yi Shiwen and Yi Rushui stood silently beside them, and Zhang Yang, Wu Hao, and Qian Wanru were also there, and the top disciples of the younger generation of Qingfeng Mountain were all gathered. Junior brother Yi's reputation is being spread all over the world right now, and the sword will be slashed with a single knife. I'm afraid many people will not be able to sleep. Let's see if they dare to underestimate our Qingfeng Mountain branch. Qian Wanru was very excited. He said that the Qingfeng Mountain area is a remote area in the whole of Deu, and the Qingfeng Mountain branch where the sect was established has always been discriminated against. Yeah, I'm afraid some people really can't sleep. It seems that some people are unwilling to be lonely and want to help the flames. Yi Feng sighed and said, the news spread so fast and so widely, obviously it will not be the result of self-spreading. There must be a lot of people behind it. Someone wants to muddy the water. Zhang Yang said with a frown, someone wants our Qingfeng Mountain branch to be the target of public criticism, and use everyone's hands to destroy us. It's not impossible. Although we have made many sects over the past dynasties, we also have many enemies. In short, this thing is strange inside and out. Yi Feng said. Whether it's already spread or someone pushes the fire, if we want to stand out in this assessment, we have to face all of these. Yi Shiwen said, it's very simple, don't worry about it. 1. Knock them all down. Yi Shiwen's words revealed a kind of self-confidence. Any conspiracy means, in the face of powerful strength, are all floating clouds, and will only be destroyed like annihilation. Ha ha ha. Yes, or what the younger brother said, no matter what conspiracy he is, what means can he do to defeat them all? Yi Feng said with a laugh. Since some people want to see our methods, let's let them see enough. Our Qingfeng Mountain branch is no worse than anyone else. Yi Shiwen said with a cold smile. Yes, that's right. Yi Feng nodded, and then said to Yi Rushui, I'm fine now, I can take care of my own life, you don't have to worry about me anymore, I'm still in seclusion these days, trying to find a way to break through the innate realm, at that time, we have another helper. Yi Rushui looked at Yi Feng, then nodded and said, okay, She also knows that if she doesn't break through to the innate realm, I'm afraid she won't be able to help. She has the Shantian pill left by Yi Shiwen, and it is much easier to break through to the innate realm than others. In the environment, it takes a lot of effort to break through the innate realm. Both Wu Hao and Qian Wanru looked at Yi Rushui with some envy, but unfortunately they didn't have Shantian pill in their hands. Although they could break through quickly after entering the main sect, it was not the same thing after all. Suddenly, a disciple of the Qingfeng Mountain branch hurried in and said, "No, there is someone outside who wants to challenge junior brother Yi." "Sure enough, it's here," Yi Feng said. "So fast," Zhang Yang said with a frown. "Let's go and have a look," Yi Shiwen said. Yi Shiwen and the others left the courtyard, but saw a young man in a white robe looking at Yi Shiwen coldly. The whole body exudes an icy aura, like an iceman who has just been fished out of the glacier, and it seems to be frozen at a glance. The first update is here. Ask for tickets, ask for collections, ask for rewards, all kinds of requests. Chapter 84 3 Oita Buddhism. There were already many disciples of the branch who were planning to watch. The original battle was probably just the disciples of the branch on this mountain to watch the battle, but as Yi Shiwen's reputation spread far and wide, many disciples from other peaks were also very good. Interested to come and see this most famous disciple of Qingfeng Mountain. Yi Shiwen looked at the other party and said, "Are you going to challenge me?" "Of course," said the man. "Sign up," Yi Shiwen said. "Iceland, Chu Shuen," the man said. Iceland turned out to be a disciple of this branch, no wonder. There is a long coastline in the east of Dayu Kingdom, and there are also some branches on the coast of the East China Sea, and Iceland is the most famous one, because the whole island is practicing ice attribute exercises. 300 miles off the nearby coast, it was a world of ice and snow, and most of the disciples from Iceland were very powerful. Among the sects, there are strong and weak ones. Qingfeng Mountain is one of the weaker ones, but there are also very strong ones. The Icelandic sect has always been known as one of the three major sects. Among the branches, the strength is one of the best. Chu Shuen, it turns out that he is Chu Shuen from Iceland. No wonder he is so powerful. A disciple sighed. It turned out to be him. No wonder, no wonder, apart from the three invincible masters, the strongest one is Chu Shuen and others. "You are Chu Shuen?" Yi Shiwen asked. After staying here for more than a day, Yi Shiwen didn't know anything at first, and he also knew a little about these outstanding disciples of the branch. This year's branch disciples, known as the strongest one in the past 100 years, have masters like clouds and rain, among which three top masters are respected, and they are the most outstanding disciples of the three branches. In the past, the disciples of these three branches were the strongest, so they obtained the most resources and cultivated stronger disciples. Over time, these three branches gradually became the branches with the most profound background, and their strength is far away, above other branches. It can be said that it is no longer the same level. It is said that the disciples of the three major branches of this session are also the strongest in history. When Yi Shiwen heard the news, he couldn't help gasping for air. All of them were innate experts. What kind of situation was that? It is said that the major sects will put all their effort into cultivating disciples this time, starting from these three major sects. Zong counterbalance. Although they didn't even think about defeating the disciples of the three major sects, they couldn't be bullied by a random disciple of the three major sects without the ability to fight back. As for Qingfeng Mountain's One Yuan sect, the news was received late because of its remote location. No one knows how strong the three invincible masters are, because no one has ever forced them to use their full strength. They are the top of the pyramid of all the disciples of the sect, and then there are a group of masters such as Chu Shuen, and again Wen Xiong and others. Others don't get in at all. Chu Shuen was much stronger than Wen Xiong and others. I heard that you claim to be the #1 disciple of the branch sect. I'm here to teach you a lesson and let you know that the sky is high. Chu Shuen said coldly. Of course, the title of the #1 disciple of this branch is not what Yi Shiwen claimed, but someone with ulterior motives added it to Yi Shiwen's head, so naturally there will be no good intentions. Am I the #1 disciple of the branch, and it's not your turn to meddle in your own business to teach me a lesson, what are you? Yi Shiwen said with a sneer. This title is crowned on his head, and it is naturally malicious. What branch disciple is the first? It seems that he has no good intentions. But no matter what, this Chu Xuan is too arrogant. Just hearing his name, he is going to teach himself a lesson. Do you really think Yi Shiwen is a soft persimmon? You can pinch whatever you want. Looking for death, I don't know how high the sky is. Chu Xuan's face showed anger. As the top disciple of Iceland, one of the 3 major branches, it is not polite to talk to him. When would someone dare to talk to him like this? Today, I will abolish your martial arts. You don't know how high the sky is, and you will become a pile of bones by then. It's up to you. Yi Shiwen sneered. Chu Xuan's figure flashed suddenly, and in an instant, the true qi was suddenly released, and the surrounding temperature plummeted, as if caught in a situation of ice and snow. The huge and icy infuriating energy instantly made the whole world become pure and white. The strength is fierce, far above Wen Xiong. The infuriating energy in the whole body has been transformed by 40%, and it is majestic. After breaking through to innate first layer, 10% of the true qi in the whole body is converted into innate true qi, that is, ordinary masters in innate first layer realm, and 2 achievements are the peak of innate first layer. After breaking through to the second level innate realm, you can transform the innate true qi into 30%, and when you transform 40% of the true qi into the innate true qi, you will naturally become the peak of the second level innate. Chu Xuan, the innate second level peak, is more ferocious than ordinary people. Chu Xuan slapped it with a palm, and the snow-white infuriating energy wrapped around his arm, like a crystal. It was very beautiful, but it was extremely dangerous. With a slap in the face, the air would be frozen and cracked. When he saw that this palm was about to hit Yi Shiwen's body, Yi Shiwen finally moved. His hands instantly burst out with terrifying infuriating energy, condensed into a fistful of anger, and greeted him. Bang, bang, bang. Chu Xuan looked at Yi Shiwen in astonishment, but he didn't expect Yi Shiwen to block him, and it obviously didn't look like he was exhausted. There should be room to spare. This is the most terrifying thing. As one of the few masters in Iceland, although he is not the strongest, he can still be ranked in the top 5, but even so, he has not been able to force Yi Shiwen to exert his full strength. This Yi Shiwen is far too strong, far beyond his imagination. Originally, he was just a complacent boy, and he was clamoring for the number 1 disciple of the branch, but he didn't put it in his heart at all. Every year, there will be a large number of people who don't know the sky and the earth constantly shouting, but in his opinion, it is just a clown jumping on the beam. Even his senior brother has never said that he is the number 1 disciple of the branch. What is this person? I really don't know how to live or die. It happened that he was in a bad mood, so he was going to find Yi Shiwen's troubles and vent, but he didn't know that he really kicked the iron plate. Do you only have this level? Yi Shiwen sneered. Chapter 85. Do you only have this level? Yi Shiwen sneered. Yi Shiwen slapped 2 palms with swish, bringing out the sound of thunderstorms. This set of palms, in Yi Shiwen's hands, can be said to be superb. Bang! Yi Shiwen slapped it with a palm. Chu Xuan raised his hand to block, and suddenly there was a loud noise, and a terrifying giant force almost numbed Chu Xuan's arm. Chu Xuan's icy infuriating energy flowed through his arms in an instant, and his arms suddenly felt cold, driving away the sore and numb feeling. I was shocked to the extreme, how terrifying the power of this man had reached. Before, whether it was Huo Cheng or Wen Xiong, their strengths were far from Yi Shiwen's, so they couldn't fully use Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen's power was fully activated, and with a single palm of his hand, all of their bones were broken, and they passed out. Outsiders couldn't feel how terrifying Yi Shiwen's power was. Anyway, no matter how much force they use, they will just pass out. But Chu Xuan is different. Yi Shiwen's combat power is close to that of a master of the 3rd level of innate, but Chu Xuan is also close to the 3rd level of innate, and the difference is not much, and then use true qi to resolve the remaining strength, which is not directly stunned by Yi Shiwen. But it is precisely because of this that Chu Xuan can really feel the horror of Yi Shiwen. The power of 19 flying dragons has all exploded, and the strength is more than twice that of Chu Xuan, who is equal to the power of 9 flying dragons. If you transform 10% of infuriating energy, you can have the power of 1 flying dragon, and if you transform 20% of infuriating qi, you can have the power of 2 flying dragons. When you transform 30% of innate energy, you can have the power of 5 flying dragons. As the peak of the second level of innate chi that has transformed 40% of the innate chi, Chu Xuan's power is already the peak of 9 flying dragons. If he can break through to the peak of the third level of the innate chi that has transformed into 50% of the innate chi, then his power will also increase to 50%. The power of 10 flying dragons, which is the level of Yi Shiwen now, transforms 60% of the innate true chi into the innate triple peak, which has the power of 20 to 49 flying dragons. Yi Shiwen's power has already increased to the peak of 50% of the innate chi, which is the power of 9 flying dragons, which is twice his. Such a force was smashed down, and with just one palm, Chu Xuan's arms were instantly paralyzed. Although Yi Shiwen failed to defeat Chu Xuan with one palm, Chu Xuan was secretly complaining about what kind of monster it was. He could see that although Yi Shiwen used the power technique of palm, but just using brute force, he actually forced him to use true chi to defend. This kind of strength, even if it is not as good as the 3 invincible things, is one of the top masters under it. This Qingfeng mountain branch is just a small branch from a remote rural area. How can such a person appear? But before it was his turn to think too much, Yi Shiwen had already attacked. Yi Shiwen's offensive was continuous, and with this one move, Yi Shiwen had completely grabbed the upper hand. Resolutely, thunder and lightning, ghostly thunder axe, thunderstorm. Yi Shiwen used these 4 moves to run the thunder hand. One move and one move, the moves were continuous, there was hardly any pause, and they were perfect. Chu Xuan fell into a disadvantage from the beginning, and he was even more depressed. How could he not know this set of lightning strikers? Almost every branch has it, and even many people in the whole country of Deu are practicing this set martial arts, but no one has ever truly mastered this set of martial arts like Yi Shiwen. Even those elders, he has not been able to see, can compare with Yi Shiwen. But compared to the terrifying power of Yi Shiwen when he used this exercise, what really depressed him was that he could not hold his head up because he was pressed by the primary exercise. Primary exercises. Almost when he was still young, he had practiced for a while, but soon, with the development of entering the realm, he quickly gave up the primary exercises and practiced intermediate exercises, even advanced exercises and innate exercises. Gongfa. He had never thought about the elementary exercises, but it could be so terrifying, especially in Yi Shiwen's hands. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of Yi Shiwen and Chu Xuan fighting was as if they were fighting with 2 weapons, making a colliding sound like gold and iron. The terrifying force swayed the surrounding air, causing waves of air. Both of them are so terrifying. I didn't expect that this Yi Shiwen was not a vain name, and he was able to fight against Chu Xuan without being defeated so far. What is not defeated? It is clear that Chu Xuan has been pressed into the disadvantage, and it will be defeated in just a moment or 3. A disciple on the side said with a sneer. And Yi Shiwen still has the most powerful means. I saw the real thing that day. When Xiong was defeated by Yi Shiwen's sword intent, and he has no power to fight back. Xuan can't resist it, and when Yi Shiwen strikes, Chu Xuan will be no match. I didn't expect this Yi Shiwen to be so powerful. Just looking at it from here, apart from those 3, Yi Shiwen is definitely one of the top disciples of the branch sect. Chu Xuan's hands have been smashed by Yi Shiwen and gradually become numb. There is no way to relieve the numbness with infuriating energy. His heart is more and more unwilling. It's impossible. What? At the moment, even the knife is not used, is it about to lose? How so? This time, Yi Shiwen verified it on Chu Xuan's body. What is a force to subdue 10 guilds? Although the thunder-bending hand is obviously not as good as Chu Xuan's martial arts, but by virtue of his mastery of the thunder-bending hand's terror and the 19 rules, the terrifying power of the flying dragon pushed him into the downwind. But Yi Shiwen didn't care how unwilling Chu Xuan was in his heart. He shouted loudly and blasted out like thunder. Chu Xuan, whose hands were finally completely numb, finally couldn't stop it, and a scream was blasted out. Today's update is a bit late. I'm depressed. My family has been hacked on the internet, let alone playing games. It takes 10 to 20 minutes to open a web page, which directly affects my uploading chapters, and the internet is often disconnected. Siblings offer a way to sprinkle. That man is so shameless. It's okay to swipe the internet, other people who rub the internet can't use the internet. It's too shameless. I've been looking for software all night, and I can't bear it anymore. Well, I admit that I'm really not a moral saint. Being bullied at the door can still make people slap in the face with a smile. If I can't clean up that bastard, I can't sleep at night these days. Everyone has their own way, and the Shenmue hacking software doesn't matter. The worse the bastard is, the better. Xiao Chen is trying to figure out if he should learn some hacking techniques. He has to protect himself when he encounters this kind of thing. Chapter 86. Everyone at the scene was stunned. Looking at the scene in front of them, no one seemed to be able to see Yi Shiwen's bottom line. The stronger the enemy, the stronger he was. From Huo Cheng before to now Chu Xuan, the enemy's strength is getting stronger and stronger, but he has never seen his bottom line. Yi Shiwen looked at Chu Xuan coldly. This guy is arrogant, but he does have the capital of arrogance, and the peak of the second level innate is indeed enough to rank among the top disciples. Yi Shiwen almost didn't directly destroy this guy's martial arts. Yi Shiwen had the idea of abolishing him just now, but he noticed it, blocked it, and turned it a little bit. Yi Shiwen, come out and accept our challenge. When Yi Shiwen was still thinking about the pros and cons, 3 abrupt challenges came out. Yi Shiwen looked up, but saw 3 fat men with 5 or 6 similar faces, and a somewhat wretched face, jumped out. Shameless, who are these 3 people while others have just finished a fight? These 3 are the 3 brothers of the Qingcheng branch Zong clan. It turns out that they are the 3 brothers of the Zong clan. No wonder, it's so shameless. The 3 brothers of the Zong clan only came to the main sect not long ago, but they have achieved a great reputation. Of course, this reputation is not a good reputation. The reputation of these 3 brothers is shameless. Yi Shiwen also knew about the 3 brothers of the Zong clan, and could only sigh with emotion. This forest is so big, there are all kinds of birds. Why, don't you dare to accept the challenge of our 3 brothers? The boss of the 3 Zong brothers raised his eyebrows and said provocatively. In the face of everyone's cynicism, the 3 Zong brothers were unmoved at all. They only recognized one thing, that is now Yi Shiwen defeated Chu Xuan and became famous. If they can defeat Yi Shiwen, then they will be able to do it all at once. They are famous throughout the sect. As for any shameless evaluation, it doesn't matter. Instead, they are even more complacent. Just take it as a compliment. Yeah, if you don't dare to accept the challenge of our 3 brothers, just admit defeat, and detour when you see our 3 brothers. The second son of Zong also said provocatively. Forget it, big brother and second brother, I don't think he has the guts. Zong Laosan pretended to be very calm and said. Shameless. Behind Yi Shiwen, Yi Rushui raised her eyebrows and scolded her in a low voice, her face flushed with anger. This was simply taking advantage of the fire. They didn't dare to challenge in an upright manner, but now they said that Yi Shiwen was timid. In her opinion, it is indeed extremely shameless. And the other disciples of Qingfeng Mountain also glared at each other, shameless, too shameless. And the other disciples of the branch sect who were onlookers also looked disdainful. The 3 brothers of the sect family were really shameless. Everyone's eyes turned to Yi Shiwen, and they didn't know how he would answer, but they saw Yi Shiwen suddenly chuckled and said, of course you can challenge me, but if any cat or dog challenges me, then I will not be too busy every day. What, you dare to look down on our 3 brothers? Zong Lao said with an angry look at the right time. But it's okay to challenge. Hand over 100 middle-grade spirit stones, and you won't give it back if you lose. Yi Shiwen said lightly. When the 3 brothers of the Zong family heard it, they were stunned for a moment. They didn't expect Yi Shiwen to make such a request. You must know that 100 middle-grade spirit stones are almost all of their net worth. However, the boss of the Zong family nodded and said, okay. In his opinion, as long as Yi Shiwen is defeated, the spirit stone will not be taken back. If there is an extra minute of delay, Yi Shiwen will recover 1 more point, which is naturally unfavorable to them. Yi Shiwen sneered after taking over the spirit stones of the 3 brothers of the Zong family. The 3 brothers of the Zong family are indeed shameless. They will challenge him right after the fight. However, these 3 brothers may have miscalculated this time. What kind of soft persimmon, can anyone bully anyone? Come on together, Yi Shiwen said lightly. That's what you said the boss of the Zong family. The three of them had no shame at all, and it would be best if they could go together. Boom. The three brothers of the Zong family stepped on their feet and rushed towards Yi Shiwen at a speed that was completely incompatible with their huge body. Although the three brothers of the Zong family are shameless, in general, they still have some strength. The three brothers of the Zong family are all innate second-level existences, and the eldest of the Zong family is the existence of the peak of innate second-level transformation with 40% true Qi. Although it is not as good as Chu Shuan, it is not far behind. The three teamed up to blast out a set of boxing techniques, and the power was even stronger than Chu Shuan's. Many onlookers stopped talking, and looked at the four people in the arena nervously. The three Zong brothers are indeed very strong. Otherwise, with the style of these three sluts, they would have been dealt with miserably long ago. But it is precisely because they are good, strong people that they don't want to care about such people, and the weak ones can't beat them, so they are so arrogant. Bang! 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 Yi Shiwen's arm almost pulled out afterimages, blocking the joint attack of the three brothers. Soon, the three brothers of the Zong family found that they seemed to have kicked the iron plate. What they had imagined was that Yi Shiwen should be exhausted soon. In their words, even if they can defeat Chu Shuan together, it may not be true in the end. Pissed. But looking at Yi Shiwen's appearance, his face was not blushing or his heart was beating. But Yi Shiwen would not give them any chance to breathe. Bang! Yi Shiwen caught Zong Lao San's punch with one hand, and then the other hand instantly slashed out and chopped off with the palm of his hand. Kara! There was a crisp sound of broken bones, and one of Zong's third hand was directly broken by Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen immediately lifted his foot, kicked out like lightning, and kicked Zong Lao San's fat stomach with Junchi. Passed out. Second son. The second son of Zong roared and rushed towards Yi Shiwen, but then he followed in his younger brother's footsteps. Yi Shiwen slammed into the chest of the second son of Zong with a slap in the face, and the second son of Zong spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. As soon as Zong boss saw that the two younger brothers were directly bombarded by Yi Shiwen, he hurriedly shouted, "I recognize." Before the words could be written out, Yi Shiwen slammed out an overwhelming palm. Boom! Boss Zong slammed into a tree beside him and passed out. "Thank you, big guy, for giving Xiaochen advice. I'm very entangled in rubbing the net, and it's not one or two, I'm really tangled." Chapter 87 Yi Shiwen, come out for this old man. The courtyard where Iceland, one of the three major branches, is located. Chu Shuan stood outside the door with a cold face, looking at a room in the courtyard from time to time. Beside him stood a blue-robed youth, Chi Yuxuan, with a smile on his face, looked at Chu Shuan and said, "I heard that you were defeated by someone from the countryside some time ago." Chu Shuan glanced coldly at the blue-robed youth. The blue-robed youth, named Gong Yao, was also Iceland's top disciple, even stronger than him. Tisk tisk, this matter has become a laughing stock, and now people are laughing at our Iceland branch all over the place. We are disgraced. Should we take action? Gong Yao tisk tisk said with a smile. This matter doesn't need your nonsense. Chu Shuan said coldly, "I will find this place myself." "Can you do it yourself?" Gong Yao said with a smile. "I heard recently that for 3 days, 30 people challenged him, and none of them were his opponents." Since Yi Shiwen defeated Chu Shuan and the three brothers of the Zong family, many people came to challenge Yi Shiwen, hoping to defeat Yi Shiwen, so as to be a hit, stepping on Yi Shiwen's. Don't go to trouble with that Yi Shiwen recently. At this time, a man in the room pushed the door and walked out. He looked like he was in his 20s. Clothes, tall and imposing. "Why?" Chu Shuan asked, but he didn't dare to show any disrespect. The person in front of him was the senior brother of the Iceland branch, Shangguan Xueni, whose cultivation was unfathomable and ranked among the top 3 branches of the branch. The ranks of the masters. In 2 days, the entrance examination will be held. Don't make a branch outside the festival. Shangguan Xueni said lightly, "Everyone else is watching us, and you may not be his opponents. We will have time to solve it in the future." You also prepare well, and you must break through in this assessment. Yes. Yi Shiwen took an inventory. In the past 3 days, he has harvested 3,000 pieces of mid-grade spirit stones alone. It can be said that he has become rich all of a sudden. Even the average innate 4th and 5th tier masters are definitely not the current Yi Shiwen. Such a high price. Because Yi Shiwen defeated Chu Xuan and the three Zong brothers, who were all well known among the disciples of the branch sect, rumors of his reputation spread all of a sudden. Chu Xuan will not say it. He is the top disciple of the Iceland branch, one of the three major branches, and has a very famous reputation. Although the three Zong brothers are a little shameless, many people can't help but admit that although the three are shameless, but it is still powerful, especially when the three brothers join forces, they are much stronger than the average top disciple. There is a name for this kind of disciple, the so-called seed disciple. These disciples generally exist among the disciples of all levels. There are seed disciples among the outer disciples, seed disciples among the inner disciples, and core disciples. Seed disciples are often the most powerful group of people. Among the branch disciples, there are also seed disciples, Chu Xuan, and the three brothers of the Zong clan, who are seed disciples. The Wen Xiong that Yi Shiwen defeated in the past was only a quasi-seed disciple, and defeating Wen Xiong was nothing. But the three brothers who defeated Chu Xuan and Zong's brothers one after another really boosted Yi Shiwen's reputation. There are countless disciples who want to become famous, all want to challenge Yi Shiwen, but Yi Shiwen has no time to accept the challenges of so many people, so Yi Shiwen simply set the rules. Anyone who wants to challenge him must hand over 100 pieces of middle-grade spirit. Otherwise it is not necessary to talk, and only accept the challenge of 10 people a day. In this way, the challenge of some people who want to be famous and have no strength is directly eliminated. In this way, after 3 days, Yi Shiwen has accumulated more than 3,000 middle-grade spirit stones all at once. It can be said that he became rich all of a sudden. You know, even for Chu Xuan and other seed disciples, 100 middle-grade spirit stones are close to most of their net worth. Not to mention ordinary disciples, especially those who have just been promoted to the innate realm, it is not bad to have 10 middle-grade spirit stones. During this period, there were some seed disciples among those who challenged Yi Shiwen, and even some of them were even higher than Chu Xuan. Yi Shiwen won with difficulty. However, Yi Shiwen has gained a lot. These seed disciples have their own powerful cards, and each of them is very difficult to deal with. This is another major gain besides the spirit stone. Fighting against these people allows Yi Shiwen to let go of his actions. All martial arts have been greatly honed, and he is much more proficient than before. As Yi Shiwen continued to defeat powerful enemies, Yi Shiwen's reputation really spread among the branch sects in just 3 days. Many people know that in the Qingfeng Mountain branch, there is such a number one person. Yi Shiwen is naturally among the seed disciples of the branch sect. This seed disciple of the branch sect has been recognized by almost everyone. Whether he hates Yi Shiwen or not, he must admit that Yi Shiwen does have this strength. Yi Shiwen could already feel the surging power in his body, and knew that he was standing on the threshold of breakthrough, and he could cross the past at any time and break through to become an innate double existence. If he can break through to the second level of innate Qi, Yi Shiwen's strength will immediately improve by leaps and bounds. At that time, Yi Shiwen will be able to compete with the masters who have transformed 60% of the innate true Qi to the peak of the third level of innate Qi. Now that the spiritual stones on Yi Shiwen's body are enough to support his breakthrough, there is no problem at all. As long as there are enough spiritual stones, the breakthrough will not be as difficult as others. After entering the general business, the pressure of competition is even greater. Boom! A majestic momentum emanated from the courtyard of the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect, and the surrounding spiritual energy rushed into it. Break through the innate. A look of surprise appeared on Yi Shiwen's face. At this time, the only one who would break through the innate realm was his second sister, Yi Rushui. No matter how fierce Yi Shiwen fought outside these days, Yi Rushui never came out. Prepared to break through the innate realm in retreat. With Shantian pill in hand, breaking through to the innate realm is a matter of 100%. It is not as dangerous as those who do not have Shantian pill to break through the innate realm, which is why the price of Shantian pill is very high. Yi Shiwen was about to rush to Yi Rushui's courtyard when suddenly an old roar came from the sky. Yi Shiwen, come out for this old man. The big guy is so powerful. He helped Xiaochen to be listed on the weekly recommendation list. This is the first time Xiaochen has been on the list since he published the book. Although it is the last place, Xiaochen thanks everyone. Chapter 88 Elder Xiaoyang. Yi Shiwen was about to rush to Yi Rushui's courtyard when suddenly an old roar came from the sky. Yi Shiwen, come out for this old man. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying coercion was instantly pressing down towards the entire courtyard. This was a terrifying pressure, one caught off guard, almost overwhelmed Yi Shiwen. Who? Yi Shiwen shouted, mixed with the innate qi tumbling out and directly confronting that coercion, the two junqi directly collided into a storm. However, it was obvious that Yi Shiwen's innate qi was obviously not the opponent's opponent, and he was defeated all the way. Innate true yuan. Yi Shiwen's eyes flickered, and the person who came was definitely not a disciple of the branch, because the innate true essence only possessed the ability of masters above the 6th level of innate. When the innate masters break through to the peak of the 5th layer innate realm, they can convert all the acquired innate energy in their body into innate energy. At that time, their combat power will explode to a peak, but if they want to break through to the 6th layer innate, then it's not just that, but a transformation will happen again, from innate true energy to innate true essence. This is the second transformation of life. Once the transformation is successful, the lifespan has more than doubled from the original 200 years to 500 years old in one fell swoop. The masters of the innate 6th layer are much more powerful than the innate 5th layer, and they can almost fight a group one by one, and a qualitative change has occurred again. The One Yuan sect also used this as the standard for division. Those below the 6th level of the congenital are all inner disciples, and those above the 6th level of the congenital are core disciples. Although there is only one level difference, the actual treatment is very different. The elders of each branch are all core disciples above the 6th level of congenital innate. Many of these elders are very old because they are approaching the age limit of 500 years, but they will only be able to reach the core disciples who have no hope of breaking through to the true way. Choose to serve as an elder in a branch. But even so, these elders are very terrifying beings, far beyond what ordinary disciples can compare. Who are you? Yi Shiwen walked out of the courtyard, but saw an old man in dark clothes standing at the mother's mouth, staring at Yi Shiwen with anger. Immediately after Zhang Yang, Yi Feng and Yi Rushui, who had just broken through to the innate realm, also rushed over. Which one of you is Yi Shiwen? The black-clothed old man said in a cold voice. I am. Yi Shiwen said. It's you little bastard who injured our Xiaoyang branch disciple, said the black-clothed old man in a cold voice. Who is the little beast scolding? Yi Shiwen asked. Little beast scolds you, the old man in Xuanyi blurted out, only to find the trap between his words. His face flushed red, he was very angry. Ha ha ha, the disciples of the Qingfeng mountain branch all laughed unbridled. They are all human beings. Although they are inconspicuous in the main sect, in the branch, they are all people who call the wind and call the rain. How could the head not be smart? I immediately understood that this old man in Xuanyi should be an elder of the Xiaoyang branch. This is the mortal enemy, even if the other party is an elder, but the mortal enemy will not change. The hatred between the two sides has extended for so many years. The other party must have come to ask Huo Cheng and other disciples who were maimed by Yi Shiwen and could not participate in this assessment. You little bastard, you are courting death. The black-clothed old man said angrily, flicking his sleeves. The air was distorted, and a big gasified hand instantly covered it. Although it is not a big means, the power varies, but it is still very useful for warriors below the 6th level of the congenital. Chang. The long knife behind Yi Shiwen was unsheathed in an instant, bursting with dazzling light, covering the small half of the sky, illuminating Yi Shiwen's figure like a god of war, with a solemn expression and long black hair flying in the wind. The sword glow transformed into a big sword that was completely condensed from infuriating energy. Towards the big hand, it slashed down. Zzzz. The knife light slashed above the big hand and made a sizzling sound. Then, the sharp knife light evolved into a picture of a falling moon, which is artistic conception. Relying on the mood of Luoyue, Daomeng, which had already been defeated, regrouped in an instant and continued to slash down. Artistic conception. How is it possible to actually practice artistic conception? The black-clothed old man widened his eyes and looked at Yi Shiwen in disbelief. He couldn't believe that Yi Shiwen had actually developed the artistic conception, even among the disciples in this session, it can only be said that it is rare. How could it appear on him? But also, if it wasn't for such a monstrous talent, how could it be possible to defeat the genius in his own sect? Thinking of this, a trace of killing intent flashed in the eyes of the black-clothed old man. Such a genius, who appeared in a hostile branch, must be killed, otherwise, it would definitely not be a good thing for the Shaoyang branch to grow up. This time, even if he had to fight the danger of being punished by Zongnei, he had to kill the danger in the cradle. In the sky, the lunar map and the big hand collided fiercely, colliding with terrifying air fluctuations, rippling layer by layer. The pressure on Yi Shiwen was getting bigger and bigger. His sword intent collided fiercely with the opponent's big hand. Strong pressure on Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen quickly fell to the bottom of the wind, and the bones all over his body were crackling. This was because the bones were rubbing fiercely. Yi Shiwen's body was as strong as a stone, but under this terrifying pressure, the body began to emit bang. "Old guy, what do you want to do?" Yi Shiwen roared through gritted teeth. His heart was full of anger. This old guy is indiscriminate at all. Looking at it like this, it is possible to kill himself here. The black-clothed old man didn't care at all, ignored Yi Shiwen, just pressed down with a big hand, and even Yi Shiwen's picture of the falling moon would be crushed. "Old guy, what happened today will definitely be returned in the future." Yi Shiwen gritted his teeth and said, a lot of sweat dripping frantically on his face. 10 years, if another 10 years pass, he will definitely be able to squeeze this old guy to death, but now, not yet. Power is not enough. For the first time, Yi Shiwen truly felt through his heart and lungs, strength, he needs strength, and only enough strength can make what happened today never happen again. The third update is here. Everyone who has tickets will give tickets, and those who have favorites will be collected. Chapter 89 The Strong Lin Zontian. Old guy, what happened today will definitely be returned in the future. Yi Shiwen gritted his teeth and said, a lot of sweat dripping frantically on his face. You don't have a future. The black-clothed old man roared with a grim look. Stop. A loud shout came, and then a big hand grabbed it directly, and the big hand of the black-clothed old man was caught. What do you want to do? An angry shout came from the sky, and a stream of light flew past. It was the former sect master of the Qingfeng mountain branch, Lin Zontian. Looking coldly at the black-clothed old man, his expression was icy. This little beast has crippled several seed disciples of our branch, and he can't participate in the assessment. This hatred cannot be shared. The black-clothed old man gritted his teeth and said, Bullshit. Yi Shiwen panted. It's clear that they came to our branch to make trouble, to forcibly borrow our courtyard, injure my elder brother, and almost ruin my elder brother's martial arts. It's just what they did, and it's just to give them back. If they didn't abolish their martial arts, it would be considered in the face of the same family. Little bastard, you, the old man in Xuanyi said angrily. It wasn't that he didn't know the ins and outs of the matter, but he just wanted to take advantage of Lin Zontian's return to take Yi Shiwen, to see what Lin Zontian has to say. Get out of here, Lin Zontian shouted angrily, waved his sleeves, and a terrifying energy rushed to the front of the black-clothed old man in an instant. PFF'd. The old man in Xuanyi spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his skinny body flew out backwards. With just one blow, he was seriously injured. He stared at Lin Zontian in stunned eyes, unable to believe that Lin Zontian was actually so powerful. True Dao, the old man in Xuanyi murmured, and then he looked at Lin Zontian fiercely and said, Lin Zontian, you will regret it. Go away. What are you? You dare to do something to my disciples. Lin Zontian said forcefully. Lin Zontian has clearly demonstrated the strength of the true way. The disciples of the true way will be the next true disciples, core disciples. Only it can be regarded as a middle-level person in the door, but the true disciple has definitely entered the high level. With the size of the One Yuan sect, the number of true disciples is only a few hundred, but the core disciples and inner disciples add up to almost 100,000. The black-clothed old man glanced at Lin Zontian hatefully. He had no doubt that if it wasn't in the sect, he would have been killed directly by Lin Zontian. The sect was not peaceful, and the faction always existed. This kind of competition is allowed as long as it does not extend to direct rivalry between factions. From the perspective of the entire sect, as long as the entire sect is prosperous, competition is allowed. The black-clothed old man glanced at the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect bitterly, and left angrily. "Come on, let's go in and talk," Lin Zontian said. Seeing Lin Zontian coming back, everyone from the Qingfeng Mountain 1 Yuan sect seemed to be back at once, with joy on their faces, and they followed in one after another. On the main seat, Lin Zontian listened to everyone talking about their experiences during this period of time. Lin Zontian showed a smile on his face, looked at Yi Shiwen and said, "Very good, you are very good, let us share Qingfeng Mountain." Zong showed his prestige. Lin Zontian was quite surprised. Although he said he was very optimistic about Yi Shiwen, he didn't expect that Yi Shiwen could reach such a level that even many seed disciples were not his opponents. Those seed disciples were all elites from each branch. For him, they were all very powerful, but he was actually overjoyed by Yi Shiwen's defeat so much. "In the days when I was not here, you all performed very well," Lin Zontian said. "Thank you for your praise," everyone said in unison. "Next, let me tell you, why did you leave suddenly this time?" Although I said, "It's a big deal, but I feel like I need to talk to you guys," Lin Zontian said. Everyone's faces suddenly became serious, knowing that Lin Zontian must be talking about a major event. Even Lin Zontian felt that it was a big deal, and it must not be a trivial matter. "This time is a little strange. The 3-year entrance examination is a major event for our sect. Each branch will send elite disciples, but this time, more than 30 branch disciples were attacked. Among them, the disciples of 6 branch sects were completely wiped out, and there are no bones left," Lin Zontian said solemnly. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Although those branch sects are only the branch sects of the 1 Yuan sect, compared to the main sect, their strength is nothing at all, but for other sects, they are still very huge, and they are all the elite disciples of each branch. Which one is simpler? Not to mention, there are even one or even a few elders around them. These elders are all super experts above the 5th level of congenital, and it is too late for ordinary sects to encounter them. How dare to do something to such a team? It can also wipe out their entire army. This force is not ordinary. Although there have been cases where the disciples of the sect have been attacked in the past, but it was an individual phenomenon, or it was a vendetta, or the other party didn't even know it was a team of the Yuan sect, but this time it was very unusual, with a total of more than 100 points. Sect, there are more than 30 branch sects that have been intercepted. Lin Zontian said, "This matter has attracted the attention of the sect. It may be that there is a powerful hostile force targeting our disciples and has already sent out many experts are investigating this matter. The reason why I tell you about this is because you will all enter the main sect in the future, and there will be no shortage of times when you go out and venture out, just to make you be careful," Lin Zontian said. The entrance examination of the sect is not difficult to say, especially how many people can be promoted to the inner disciples, and the core disciples are different from the strict branch sects. These disciples can basically worship in the main sect. Getting an assessment directly determines their future prospects. Those who perform well in the assessment will naturally gain more favors, and even join the ranks of powerful masters to obtain more resources, so the elders of the Shaoyang branch will be so furious, because Huo Cheng and the others are fundamentally I can't participate in the assessment, and in the end, I can only be arranged hastily. God knows where it will be arranged. Yes, everyone agreed in unison. I've been on the internet all morning, tangled, and have been unable to get it right. Chapter 90 Exam begins. Lin Zontian's words undoubtedly cast a shadow over the hearts of the disciples of the branch sect of Qingfeng Mountain, the unknown enemy, but they were not too entangled. To take care. Everyone's minds are all placed on the entry test in a few days. Although it is not difficult, basically everyone can enter, but this test is directly related to their subsequent treatment, and some outstanding performers can even be directly accepted. It's not uncommon for you to be the first person to be in the door. Yi Shiwen just settled down in his heart for a while, and he will pay attention to it later. After all, there is such a hostile force lurking in the 1 Yuan sect. When going out in the future, he really has to be careful. However, I didn't think about it for a long time. Going out and wandering in the future will be a matter of the future. The most important thing at present is the entry-level assessment. Time passed day by day, 3 days passed quickly, and it was finally time for the entrance examination. Early in the morning, many disciples of Qingfeng Mountain got up early and gathered at the gate of the courtyard. Lin Zontian looked at everyone and said, "Today we are going to Wangyu Peak." Wangyu Peak is one of the 10 main peaks of the One Yuan sect, and it is also the main peak where the head is located. The disciples of that lineage are also the most direct lineages of the One Yuan sect. Over the past dynasties, the head has only come out of Wangyu Peak. Everyone was excited, and everyone hoped to be able to worship under the gate of Wangyufeng. Wangyufeng had the most disciples and the most honorable ones. Whether or not he can worship the Moon Peak will naturally depend on the entrance examination this time. This assessment will also be conducted in Wangyu Peak. Lin Zontian said, "We have produced many masters in the Yuan dynasty, and have also created many small worlds. What we are going to this time is the magic realm located in Wangyu Peak. This world is a small world opened up by a generation of suzerains of our Yuan sect, who used great magic power to break through different dimensions, from the demon world, arresting many phantom demons, and then opening up a small world with great supernatural powers. The phantom is a low-level demon in the demon world. It is good at using illusions to confuse people, but even the lowest level demon in the demon world is very difficult to deal with. In the past, Yi Shiwen only saw some records of the demon world in some miscellaneous notes, but those in the records, the demon world is only regarded as a rumor, just like an ancient myth, but I heard here that the demon world should be real. Although it's only a small world, it is more than 100 times larger than the blood primitive realm in our Qingfeng Mountain." Lin Zontian said, "There are also many dangers, but the biggest feature of this small world is that the transformation between reality, and if you die in this world, you will not be really dead, but will be teleported immediately. However, you can regard the scenes inside as real, and you can bring out everything you have obtained, except that you will not die. The rest is the same as other small worlds." There was an uproar among the disciples of the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect. If this is the case, then there is really nothing to worry about, and you can let go of your hands to fight, but in the same way, the competition will be more intense, because everyone has no scruples. Not dead anyway. This is also a measure to protect your new disciples. Lin Zontian said, "But don't think that if you don't die, you will be fine. Those phantoms are not human beings. They have always been good at deceiving people. Some people are just in the illusion. They controlled the mind, attached to your body, and became their puppet from now on." All the disciples shuddered. If this is the case, it would be too terrifying. Being a walking dead and being controlled by others, it is really impossible to survive, and it is impossible to die. This kind of thing has happened before. Some disciples were controlled and didn't know it. In the end, it almost caused a catastrophe. Lin Zontian said, "These are just to remind you, you must pay attention. The requirements for this assessment are also very simple. As long as you kill a phantom demon in one of them, you can pass the test." Lin Zontian said, "In this assessment, many high-level officials including the first and other members of the sect will come to watch the battle. If you perform well enough, you may be directly admitted to the sect, so you can perform to your heart's content." "No," said many disciples, "although even the weakest phantom demons are the existence of the 9th level of the acquired day, each of these disciples is above the 9th level of the acquired day. It is not difficult to deal with weak demons like the phantom demon, and they can torture them to death one-on-one. The only thing that is more difficult for phantoms to deal with is the influence and control of the spirit, especially those with weaker minds, who are easily affected, but these are elite disciples with very firm minds. Otherwise, they will not be able to age. It is easy to cultivate and become successful. So just be careful, phantoms are not too difficult to solve. Therefore, many disciples are full of confidence, and they will not really die, which makes them even more confident and confident. Unless it's an extremely unlucky bastard, there's no problem at all." Lin Zontian called in a few demon beasts, and everyone who was familiar with the road jumped on it. There were only about 20 people in total, and there were not many people. Although no one will die in this assessment, I hope that you still have to be careful. This assessment is not difficult, but the focus is not on passing the assessment, but on whether you can achieve better results. If you are reckless, you will fail, which means that you have missed a good opportunity, understand? Lin Zontian still did not forget to teach. Yes, Many disciples nodded and said, "After entering the main sect, you are also part of my Qingfeng Mountain branch, and you have long been branded with my Qingfeng Mountain's imprint. I hope you can unite and support each other in the future." Lin Zontian said. After worshipping the main sect, most of them worshipped their own branches, but the imprint of Qingfeng Mountain on their bodies would never be removed. They are getting closer to each other. Yes, many disciples nodded. Between the gossip of the crowd, the demon bird has already flown over the mountains, and gradually flew from the periphery of the One Yuan sect into the inside of the One Yuan sect. Compared with the outside, the inside of the One Yuan sect is more lively and prosperous. On the top, there are actually towns formed one by one, showing the prosperity of the Yuanzong. I went to class today, and I just came back. I quickly rushed out a chapter for everyone, and there is another chapter after that. Everyone, please support me. If you have a collection, spread it to your collection, and if you have a ticket, give it a ticket. Thanks. Chapter 91. The Gathering of Geniuses. Within the main sect of the One Yuan sect, one could see the inner disciples of the One Yuan sect riding on the demon birds, or the core disciples whizzing past, and they all responded with some curious eyes to the people in Qingfeng Mountain. It was just a stick of incense, and the demon bird flew into the foot of Wangyufeng Mountain. As the main peak of Wangyufeng, only an elder or a first-class true disciple can fly over Wangyufeng, and no one else can. You can only go up from the foot of the mountain. Lin Zontian didn't go up with them, but stepped on the dungeon directly under his feet and disappeared in front of everyone. Everyone went to a square where Wangyufeng gathered, and hundreds of branch sects had already arrived one after another. At this moment, the situation will meet. There are hundreds of sub-sects. Even if there are only dozens of people in each sub-sect, there are thousands of people in total. Rao is this wide square, and at this time, it is also full of people, at least all of them are the day after tomorrow. 9. The core disciple of the original branch. Originally separated, I didn't feel that there was anything, but when they were really brought together, they could truly feel the grandeur, which was far more spectacular than the previous divisions in the sect. And compared to the big competition within the sect, there is no doubt that the quality here is much higher. They are all elites in the branch sects, all of them are arrogant, especially the disciples of the congenital level, each with their heads held high and extremely conceited. After all, they can be promoted to congenital before they join the main sect. They are definitely elites, the elite disciple among the disciples. In addition to Yi Rushui's words, the Qingfeng Mountain branch has a total of 4 masters of the innate realm this time, and they are considered relatively strong among the previous dynasties. It's not at the bottom, it can still be ranked in the middle. Some branches are even worse, and there are even only one innate realm. There are more than 100 sects, and each sect has different strengths. Some are almost comparable to the 3 major sects, with a huge lineup, while others are only a master of the innate realm. It's really spectacular, Wu Hao said with emotion. Only when you really get to the main sect can you find that your own cultivation path has just begun, and there are countless people in the world who are stronger than yourself. Motivate yourself to keep improving. At this time, Yi Shiwen saw that the 3 branches standing at the front were the 3 branches this time, and the Iceland branch was standing on the far left. The leader had an extraordinary temperament. Although Yi Shiwen did not recognize it, he knew that Shangguan Zanyi, one of the top disciples in this session. Next to the Iceland branch, there is also a large group of people, each of whom is a congenital disciple, the other of the 3 major branches, the Shenhe branch. The Shenhe branch is on the edge of an extinct volcano in the south, and the exercises are also biased. The fire-type exercises formed a sharp contrast with the Icelandic divisions of the Ice Men. Speaking of which, these 2 sects have always been opponents. I don't know if it is because of their incompatible personalities or the hostility in cultivation techniques. In short, these 2 sects seem to be inherently hostile, and they are not pleasing to the eye. There is also a person in front of the team of the Shenhe branch sect. Standing proudly, it is a man of about 25 or 6 years old, with an unusually strong figure. Yi Shiwen has known that this person is called Yan Chilling, and his strength is also unfathomable. On the other side of the Shenhe branch sect, there is the remaining one of the 3 major branches, the disciples of the Jade Girl branch. As the name suggests, the disciples of this branch are all female disciples. They are all young and beautiful female disciples, Ying Yan, Huan Fei and Yan Shou. Where they were, almost attracted the attention of most of the male disciples. The leader was a girl who was about 18 or 19 years old. She was wearing a long goose yellow dress that fluttered in the wind, her long hair was shawl, her skin was as delicate as jade, and the 2 strands of hair on her cheeks were gently blowing in the wind. Alluring style. This is the talented female disciple of the current Jade Girl sect, named Changsun Yuyan. I heard that as early as a few years ago, he has easily stepped over the innate realm, and now he doesn't know what realm he has cultivated to. Shi, Yan Qiling and Shangguan Xuanyi are also called the 3 masters of this class of disciples, and their strength is unfathomable. However, unlike others who still have to wait and don't know which branch to join, the fate of the Jade Girl sect has already been decided. The Jade Girl sect is itself a subordinate branch of the Jade Girl Peak in the One Yuan sect. All the disciples will join the Jade Girl Peak in the future. The Jade Girl Peak is also the only branch of the One Yuan sect that only accepts female disciples, while the Jade Girl branch sect was founded by a predecessor of the previous Jade Girl Peak. So relatively speaking, they are just going through the motions. In addition to these 3 major branches, there are other first-class branches. Among the disciples, there are more than 10 who have reached the innate realm. Then there are the middle and lower middle ones like the Qingfang Mountain branch. Finally, naturally it is those branch sects with only 1 or 2 innate realms. Everyone stands up spontaneously according to their strength, and no one is offside. In this world where strength is paramount, only the real strong can be respected. Although it may not be obvious at ordinary times, at this time, it is fully reflected, and Yi Feng, Zhang Yang and others are obviously very used to it. Did you see that beautiful person who looks like a fairy as the eldest grandson Yuyan? This year's Jade Girl branch is unparalleled. I heard that she has already been appointed by the first seat of Jade Girl Peak. Now it's just coming and going. This is a passing scene, and in the future, he will become the first closed disciple of the Jade Girl Peak. It's no wonder that the Jade Girl branch sect can kill itself from many branches as a woman, it's really amazing. Shangguan Xuanyi, Yan Qiling, and the eldest grandson Yuyan, among our disciples this year, the 3 of them are respected, and we don't know who is stronger and who is weaker. I heard that the first person to arrive at the main sect was the people from the 3 major branches. The 3 of them fought against each other at the beginning. I heard that they did not distinguish Xuanline. Although the 3 of them were only testing in that match, some people said that the 3 of them are all at the peak of the innate 3rd layer, and may even already be the 4th layer of innate existence. The surrounding disciples took a deep breath when they heard this. The peak of the 3rd level of congenital and the 4th level of congenital, to them, were as terrifying as gods. I'm sorry I have something to do today, so it's a bit late. Recommend a friend's book, Orc Evolution Master. It is a book about World War II in another world. It should be very exciting to move World War II to another world to fight. Students who are in a shortage of books can check it out. Chapter 92 Goodbye Hua Mengen. Perhaps this strength is not too conspicuous in the main sect, but in the many branches, it is already very terrifying. All of these were achieved before they joined the main sect. These people are undoubtedly geniuses, and they will be greatly cultivated when they enter the main sect, and they are likely to enter the true way in the future, to become a true disciple. Innate Triple Peak. Yi Shiwen looked at the backs of the 3 of them. I am afraid that the 3 of them are only 1 step away from entering the innate 4th layer. Even the current Yi Shiwen is probably not the opponent of the 3. But Yi Shiwen didn't have the feeling of those people. Even a genius has the possibility of catching up. Junior sister, look, this is this year's disciple. When Yi Shiwen was closing his eyes, a voice suddenly came over. There was a sound of wings flapping, and 2 demon birds flew down from the sky. On one of the large eagles, stood a man, about 27 or 8-year-old. With a smile, he was the one who spoke just now. The other is a crane with white and holy feathers. Above the crane is a woman in green clothes, with small curved eyebrows, snow skin, and a mortal appearance. She is outstanding. Everyone's eyes were attracted by the 2 of them, even Yi Shiwen, but he was not paying attention to the man, but the woman above the crane. Hua Mengen. Yi Shiwen was sure that he was not mistaken. It was Hua Mengen who was rescued by him before. Compared to Hua Mengan, who was a little embarrassed that time, the Hua Mengan he saw this time was really like a fairy who was banished to dust. Seemingly noticing Yi Shiwen's gaze, Hua Mengan's gaze came over. Seeing Yi Shiwen, Hua Mengan was really a bit surprised. She didn't expect to see Yi Shiwen so soon, and Yi Shiwen's strength surprised her even more. He killed Luo Tian, but Luo Tian had already been injured by her at that time, but it was nothing, but now it seems that Yi Shiwen has actually broken through the innate, and he is still at the peak of the first level of innate strength. Hua Mengan got off the crane and walked towards Yi Shiwen step by step, ignoring the young man in Huapao who was talking beside her. "You're here," Hua Mengan said. Yi Shiwen nodded. "I haven't thanked you for the last time," Hua Mengan said. Last time she had something to do and left in a hurry, but it was indeed a rudeness. "It doesn't matter, it's just a little effort." Yi Shiwen shook his head and said, he also got a lot of benefits from the last incident. To be honest, there is no claim that anyone owes anyone. Junior sister. At this time, the young man in Huapao followed. "Who are you?" The young man in Huapao frowned and shouted, instinctively feeling that there was some threat. Seeing the young man in Huapao questioning Yi Shiwen, Hua Mengan frowned slightly. Yi Shiwen immediately said, "Qingfang Mountain Branch, Yi Shiwen." Yi Shiwen could see that the Huapao youth's eyes were full of arrogance, and even some disdain. The main sect disciples always look down on those branch sect disciples. Compared with the strength of the main sect disciples, the points the disciples of Zong are indeed quite different. However, the young man in Huapao did a good job of concealing it. He just flashed by, and then he said with a bright smile on his face, "Hello, junior brother, I'm Hu Yuanhang, the core disciple." Yi Shiwen could hear that Hu Yuanhang aggravated his tone on the point of being a core disciple, and the meaning was obvious. This should be regarded as being shot while lying down. Obviously, most of Hu Yuanhang was Hua Mengan's suitor, and he was using this method. A vague warning to Yi Shiwen. Just like Hua Mengan, Yi Shiwen directly ignored Hu Yuanhang, took out the phoenix-shaped jade pendant that Hua Mengan had left to him before, and said, "This jade pendant is too precious, give it back to you." Hu Yuanhang on the side was looking straight. He, who has been hanging around Hua Mengan, doesn't know that this is Hua Mengan's personal jade pendant. She has never been seen to give it to others, but now it appears in Yi Shiwen's hands. What happened to them before? Actually asked Hua Mengan to take out a personal jade pendant. Thinking of all kinds of possibilities, Hu Yuanhang's eyes flashed with murderous intent when he looked at Yi Shiwen. "Since it's given to you, you can keep it," Hua Mengan said lightly. In comparison, a jade pendant is nothing at all. Many disciples around, hearing Hua Mengan's words, secretly guessed what Yi Shiwen had done to make friends with a fairy-like figure. Yi Shiwen didn't explain anything, and he didn't need to explain anything to everyone. The secret of this matter belongs only to the two of them. "The assessment is about to start, I won't stay any longer." After saying a few words, Hua Mengan didn't want to stay and say a few more words. He flew on the back of the crane, soared into the sky, and quickly disappeared from everyone's eyes. Seeing Hua Mengan leaving, Hu Yuanhang didn't have the mood to stay any longer. He just glanced at Yi Shiwen with a gloomy look, then boarded the eagle and walked away. After the two left, many disciples of the branch sect looked at Yi Shiwen curiously, wondering how he knew the disciple of Wang Yufeng. Even Shangguan Xuanyi, Yan Qiling and Changsun Yuyan in front of them turned around curiously. Although the two did not say anything in detail, everyone knew that the two should be the disciples of Wang Yufeng. Except for the real disciples and first-class elders, as well as some specially approved people, only the disciples of this peak can fly over the mountain peaks. Especially the people in Qingfang Mountain are very curious. They don't know when Yi Shiwen met Hua Mengan, and it seems that Hua Mengan still owes Yi Shiwen a lot of favor. Personal jade pendants are sent. Although they don't know the specific effect of jade pendant, they can see at a glance that jade pendant is indeed very extraordinary. In the face of these curious eyes, Yi Shiwen closed his eyes and rested his mind. It cannot be said that this matter not only involves Hua Mengan, but may also involve other forces in the One Yuan sect. After all, he dared to intercept Hua Mengan in public. How could it be a general small force? And Yi Shiwen slaughtered everyone who was intercepted by the Luo family, and if he said it plainly, he established a great enemy. Yi Shiwen also didn't have the habit of making trouble everywhere. But everyone didn't look at Yi Shiwen for a long time, because the assessment was finally about to start. The group of this book, 25,215,910. Welcome everyone to join the scatter. Chapter 93 Phantom Raid. It is related to where they will enter the assessment. At this time, the reel is about to begin. Yi Shiwen didn't think too much. Hua Mengan, for the current Yi Shiwen, it's still too far away. A purple-robed old man flew down in the distance. He was an elder of Wangyu Peak. There was no nonsense. He just looked at the crowd and said, "This time, the entrance examination, start." The purple-clothed old man waved his hand, and suddenly the space began to fluctuate, a divine light shot out, and the entire space seemed to be torn apart. Two doors slowly formed, with a huge rumbling sound, and slowly opened. Suddenly, an aura mixed with a disgusting gas spewed out. The realm of the day after tomorrow is not bad. They haven't opened the bridge between heaven and earth, so they can't feel the change of spiritual energy between heaven and earth. But those disciples in the innate realm felt the existence of this gas and frowned, but everyone was not surprised. Before they came, the elders of each family had told them that there were a large number of phantom demons living in this phantom realm. Of course, there is also a lot of magic mixed in. In fact, so far, only one creature of the demon race has been discovered, which can adapt to the demonic energy. Apart from the demon race, even the most ferocious monsters cannot stand the direct installation of the demonic energy. However, Yi Shiwen's eyes lit up, because he discovered that the mysterious space in his mind could actually absorb the magic energy, and he could use the mysterious space in his mind to absorb the spiritual energy. I didn't do this, because compared with the efficiency of absorbing the spiritual energy in the spiritual stone, the efficiency of absorbing the spiritual energy in the air is really too slow. It's not as fast as absorbing spirit stones. After all, these spirit stones are formed after absorbing spirit energy for countless years, and the natural speed will be extremely fast. Yi Shiwen thought that since he could absorb demonic energy, could he also directly absorb demonic energy or other energies? However, before Yi Shiwen had time to think about it, everyone entered the Phantom Realm according to the teams of the sects. When the Qingfeng Mountain Branch sect and his party stepped into the illusory demon realm, the purple-clothed old man waved his hand, and a huge bubble of true essence enveloped all the Qingfeng Mountain Branch sect disciples. Soon he disappeared from everyone's sight. I don't know how long it took, and the people from the Qingfeng Mountain Branch finally appeared in the magic realm. You can see the devastated scene everywhere. The ground is dry and split. From time to time, magic fires come out, and the sky is mixed with spiritual energy. The enchanted aura is blowing towards the face. The environment here is quite bad. The demon race is a race that destroys more than construction, not to mention these phantoms who have left the demon world and lost their civilization, and only the instinct of destruction is left. This is like letting a modern person leave the city and live in the jungle for decades. Is this the illusory demon realm? It's even more desolate than I imagined. Some disciples said with emotion. Yeah, Zhang Yang nodded, but as expected, it was sent randomly. I don't know where it is in the magic realm, and there is not even a map. This is not in a hurry. Naturally there is a way to get a map when you find a town with a ghost. Yi Feng said, in the realm of ghosts, ghosts should be considered aborigines, and it's not surprising to have a map, and although ghosts are demons, after all it is a creature with certain intelligence, so there are also large and small towns in the magic realm, but from the information obtained, the magic town is just a prototype, and it is not a real town. Suddenly, the air distorted, and the surrounding scene changed instantly. Countless high-rise buildings rose from the ground, and the bustling, lively city took shape in front of Yi Shiwen in an instant. Yi Shiwen suddenly had a feeling of tears welling up in his eyes. It had been a long time since he had seen such a scene. The scene of the reinforced concrete city that was so common and even disgusted before. At this moment, it seems so kind. These scenes buried deep in my heart, I don't know when they came out again. Yi Shiwen sneered suddenly, and swung forward with a punch. The terrifying punch was like a tornado, sweeping the scene clean. At this time, the scene around Yi Shiwen was on the other side again, and changed back to the scene in the fantasy realm. As expected by Yi Shiwen, it was an illusion, and it was not real to go their separate ways. Although Yi Shiwen was already prepared, before he came, Lin Zontian also I reminded everyone to pay attention to the magic demons in the magic realm. They are very good at confusing people with illusions. Once people are fooled, they will be quickly defeated or even eaten by them. Sure enough, as soon as Yi Shiwen opened his eyes, he saw hundreds of phantom monsters rushing towards them. These phantom monsters had very small bodies, with 2 feet and 4 arms, but their heads were almost the size of their entire bodies. Fierce rays of light flashed in his red eyes. He opened his bloody mouth and rushed towards the disciples of the Qingfeng Mountain Branch sect. Yi Shiwen had a head in front of Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen sneered, and slapped it out with a palm. The thunderstorm was booming, and a palm shot directly into the big mouth of the phantom demon. Boom! Yi Shiwen slapped the phantom demon that was just the 9th realm of the day after tomorrow. Almost at that moment, most of the body of this phantom turned into demonic energy. Most of these phantoms are made up of pure energy, and their brains are very large, so they can easily emit such energy. Illusion. These magical energy were absorbed by the mysterious space in Yi Shiwen's mind through Yi Shiwen's body in an instant, and Yi Shiwen's understanding of various martial arts was even deeper. In fact, Yi Shiwen has never stopped cultivating martial arts in the mysterious space, but the efficiency is different from when he is cultivating with all his strength. Moreover, the magical energy absorbed by killing these phantom demons actually made Yi Shiwen comprehend a little faster in the mysterious space, stronger than ordinary spiritual energy. But at this time, Yi Shiwen didn't have time to think too much. The long knife was instantly pulled out from behind him, a splendid brilliance was instantly cut out, and a 10-meter-long sword chi was instantly chopped out, and the dozen or so phantom demons in front of Yi Shiwen were instantly chopped in half. I didn't even have time to scream. At this time, Yi Feng, Zhang Yang, and Yi Rushui were in the innate realm, with the strongest strength. They were also immediately exploring the illusion realm, and they took action one after another to stop the phantom demons who rushed over. After a while, the Qingfeng Mountain Branch sect the disciples responded one after another. Chapter 94, Yi Shiwen breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that there was no problem. The phantoms themselves are not too powerful. The only thing to worry about is their raids. For the determined warriors, this time will not be long. It may only take 1 or 2 seconds to find out, but these 2 seconds often become the key to everything. For ordinary people, for 1 or 2 seconds, it's nothing at all, but for a powerful warrior, 1 or 2 seconds is enough to decide a lot of things. Sure enough, as expected by Yi Shiwen, the disciples of Qingfeng Mountain who escaped from the illusions of the phantoms, even if they were faced with phantoms that were almost 5 times their own, but under the leadership of Yi Shiwen and others, the phantoms who were killed were losing ground. Everyone has easily killed more than 1 phantom demon, and completed this assessment without any difficulty at all. These phantom demons were quickly slaughtered, but everyone did not feel much relieved, because passing the level was not what everyone thought at all, and passing the level was a matter of course. Unless it was a person who was unlucky to a certain extent, there was no difficulty in passing the level. Passing the level is not the goal, but passing the level with gorgeous results is the goal of all of them. Anyway, there is still a full month left for this test. Everyone has time to hone themselves, but also to kill more phantoms and strive for better performance. Everyone knows that every move in the illusory demon realm will be observed by the senior members of the sect, so there is no need to worry about your performance, and no one will see it. Now that we have entered the phantom realm, we may encounter any danger at any time. Those phantoms may appear anytime, anywhere, so everyone must be 120,000 points of spirit. Yi Feng said. Yes, many disciples responded. Before coming back, the original goal of all the disciples was to pass the test, and then get a fairly good result. They didn't have such high ambitions, but now with Yi Shiwen's participation, it is enough. It's different. Yi Shiwen's status in their hearts has now completely surpassed Yi Feng and the others. Although Yi Shiwen is younger than them, they all vaguely regard Yi Shiwen as Chen's spiritual leader. Yi Shiwen's strength is there. I dare not say that Shangguan Xuanyi and the others are comparable, but they are also the top group under Shangguan Xuanyi. When the time comes, they will lead them to kill a bloody path. Anyway, they will not die, so what are they afraid of? People die and birds face the sky, and they will not die for thousands of years. Not to mention that the results achieved can be compared with the three major branches, but it is definitely not much different. However, Yi Feng still didn't say a word. In the Phantom Realm, in addition to those phantoms who are opponents, the other branches are also great opponents, not only those who belong to the sect, except those who belong to the sect. In addition, there are many who are not from each branch, but directly from all over the country to worship in the One Yuan sect. They also have to pass the assessment, but they did not enter the illusion and demon realm in that square, but sooner or later they will meet, and these are the most terrifying opponents. Compared with these people, the phantoms are nothing. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, everyone in Qingfeng Mountain had been in the phantom and demon realm for more than 3 days. During the 3 days, the people in the branch sect of Qingfeng Mountain encountered raids by phantom demons several times. They have also gained a lot, and they have killed at least 5 or 6 phantom demons one by one, and completed this mission exceptionally. Moreover, Wu Hao and Qian Wanru are also on the verge of breaking through, and they may even break through to the innate realm in the illusion and demon realm. If they can break through to the innate realm as long as they do not worship the main sect, then they will be treated and entered before breaking through. Yes, there is a big difference. On this day, the people of Qingfeng Mountain approached a mountain peak and were about to explore it when suddenly 7 figures jumped out and stood in front of the crowd. The faces of everyone in Qingfeng Mountain have different colors. There are actually 7 innate masters here to kill them. You must know that even a medium branch can't make up the 7 innate realms. The Qingfeng Mountain branch is already considered to be medium, but there are only 4 innate realms. Moreover, each of these 7 innate masters is powerful, not like they just broke through, at least they are masters above the 2nd level of innate, which makes everyone in Qingfeng Mountain amazed. Who are you? Why are you blocking us? Yi Shiwen stepped forward and said. Among the 7, Yi Shiwen had also seen 3 of them. When he was in the square before, Yi Shiwen paid attention to those powerful disciples. They are all top experts in other branches, and their strength is very powerful. I haven't seen the other 4, so they shouldn't be disciples of the branch sect. They may be newcomers from outside the sect. After all, the One Yuan sect is one of the 4 major sects in the country, and it has a very large influence in the whole country of Deu. It can be said that it occurs once every 3 years. The recruitment of disciples is not only the elites sent by each branch, but also the elite disciples from their own families will be sent in from all over the country and each place, as well as the geniuses who have been admitted to the sect by the people of the One Yuan sect from all over the country, and so on. This number is very large, but it is just that people who do not in branch sects enter the illusory demon realm from one place. The illusory demon realm is very large, much larger than the blood origin realm, so I haven't encountered it for a few days, but as time goes on, the number of encounters will also increase. These people are not very old, all of them are probably in their 20s, but they are all arrogant, and they must be the most top-notch existences in the younger generation of their respective forces. You are Yi Shiwen, a young man in a robe headed among the 7 said. He was not a disciple of the branch that Yi Shiwen knew, but a strong disciple outside the sect. Those powerhouses outside the sect are no worse than the disciples of the branch sects. After all, they are not stupid. If the weak come to worship, they can only exist as miscellaneous disciples, so as long as there is a way, almost they all have to wait until the day after tomorrow to consider joining the One Yuan sect. Yi Shiwen's heart sank, but he actually came to find him, and said, "It's me, who are you?" The Q group of this book. Everyone actively joins SAW. 25,215,910. Chapter 95, It's Me, Who Are You? Yi Shiwen looked. Almost all of these 7 people were arrogant, and almost every one of them was the best among the people and the elite among the disciples, but at this time, they actually came to the door together. This time your journey ends here. The young man in the middle of the robe said coldly, Who made you offend the people you shouldn't offend this time? Among these 7 people, anyone would have pressure on Yi Shiwen, not to mention the fact that these 7 people came together, it would be a terrifying pressure for everyone. Among these 7 people, the surrounding 4 are actually the astonishing peaks of the 2nd level innate, transforming 40% of the innate energy. Each of them is not as strong as the former Chu Xuan, and the three in the middle or even the third level innate and transformed. 50% of his true chi was completely beyond Yi Shiwen's. The young man in Huapao in the middle had an amazing momentum, staring at Yi Shiwen coldly, as if he was looking down at Yi Shiwen. On his left is a young man with a short stature, his eyes are somewhat sinister, like a poisonous snake in the dark. To the right of the young man in Huapao was an extremely charming woman. The long purple dress showed off her beautiful figure, but her face was extremely cold at this time. Yi Shiwen paid attention to these three people, because each of them was a very difficult opponent for him, and each of them was very difficult to deal with. Because of this, he had to be more careful. There is no problem with these 7 people coming and going alone. They are enough to go through the illusion and magic realm alone, but now they have gathered together for his business. Who has such great energy, or in other words, who did he offend, to deal with yourself? How can there be so many strong men? Yi Feng's heart sank instantly, because he was born with the strength to reach the peak, except for Yi Shiwen, no one is stronger than him, and because of this, so he could feel the horror of these 7 people even more. It's really evil, Yi Rushui murmured. Yi Shiwen, you're dead today, just keep your hands on it, the Lord said, this is just a small lesson for you, let you know who you are, not just anyone you can approach casually. The short-statured youth licked his lips, his eyes flashing with murderous light. Hu Yuanheng and Yi Shiwen immediately came up with such a name in their minds, the words of the short-stature young man, the identity of the enemy was almost ready to be revealed. Sure enough, he is a vicious person, just in order for him not to approach Wamengan in the future, he must completely destroy himself in the illusion and demon realm. Yi Shiwen was also furious in his heart. Is this an unwarranted disaster? Besides, it's none of their business if a man is alive, who he wants to communicate with, and another bastard who thinks he's aloof and looks down on all beings. Let me teach him a lesson. A young man in green behind the 3 said eagerly. We have no grievances and no enmity. You want to kill us. It's really deceiving, Qian Wanru said indignantly. Let's go first, Yi Shiwen said suddenly. How can we will never leave you alone, Yi Rushui said. These people are all top-level masters, and you can't help you if you stay. Yi Shiwen said, in the world of warriors, that's how it is, sometimes strength can't be made up for by quantity. Apart from Yi Shiwen, the strongest Yi Feng is only the peak of the first level innate, and most of them are in the acquired realm. If they stay, they will be slaughtered for a while, and it is meaningless to stay. It is better to leave first. Hey, you guys have self-knowledge. The short young man said with a sneer. Their main target was Yi Shiwen, as for the others, it was just incidental, it didn't matter whether they had to kill them or not. Everyone thought about it, and it was indeed the case. Under the siege of so many masters. If they stay, they will become an obstacle for Yi Shiwen. Everyone in Qingfeng Mountain is also resolute, and Yi Shiwen is so resolute, and the most important thing is that he will not really die in the magic realm. If he dies inside, he will be reborn outside, so it is not a real separation of life and death. Soon everyone in Qingfeng Mountain left, and Yi Shiwen breathed a sigh of relief. They were not there, but Yi Shiwen could let go of the battle. Okay, those bugs are gone, hee. This Yi Shiwen seems to be very famous among your branches, but I want to see how much he has. The green-clothed youth said with a sneer. Bed bugs. A hint of coldness flashed in Yi Shiwen's eyes. The youth in green clothes said, stepping on his feet, his body actually formed a tornado, swept towards Yi Shiwen. A huge fist in the storm was instantly formed, and the fist was twisted into a terrible auger. Anyone who touched it will be drilled into 2 halves. Yi Shiwen sneered, and slapped it out with a palm, running to the thunder hand, resolutely, with a rumbling thunder, the palm wrapped in the thunder and lightning infuriating, and instantly greeted him. Boom! The fists and palms intersected, and a terrifying loud noise burst out of the air, and the layers of air were pushed out of layers of waves by this terrifying energy, as if layers of waves appeared in the water. These waves directly turned into a storm, swept away, and the scene was extremely terrifying. There is a big difference between the innate masters and the acquired ones. The acquired fighting power is far less powerful than the innate. What's more, the masters of the innate realm have been able to initially arouse the fluctuations of the aura of the heavens and the earth. When fighting, the destructive power is extremely strong. This palm knocked down the green-clothed youth's offensive, and the storm around him was instantly dispersed by Yi Shiwen's terrifying palm force. The young man in green clothes had a look of astonishment on his face. He never expected that Yi Shiwen would be able to flatten the storm fist. Bed bugs. Yi Shiwen sneered. Your whole family is a bed bug. Before Yi Shiwen could finish his words, he stepped on his feet continuously, and his figure was like a fairy stepping. In an instant, he had rushed to the front of the green-clothed youth. A mass of thundercloud infuriating energy had accumulated on Yi Shiwen's right hand, and slammed towards the green-clothed youth. The green-robed youth didn't even have time to react. However, someone reported it, and the three powerful masters shouted, "Stop! You dare! Stop!" Yi Shiwen ignored these people, and instantly slapped it with a palm. Boom! Violent infuriating chi burst out in front of the green-clothed youth in an instant, and the green-clothed youth was also blasted out in an instant, and his figure turned into a streamer and disappeared directly. Another chapter completed in an internet cafe. So tangled, the home network was reimbursed again, the landlord closed it, and I went to the landlord to find it, and the others were not there. Chapter 96. Boom! Violent infuriating chi burst out in front of the green-clothed youth in an instant, and the green-clothed youth was also blasted out in an instant, and his figure turned into a streamer and disappeared directly. If you die in the magic realm, you will not really die, but will disappear into a streamer and return to the outside world. How dare you! The remaining 6 looked at Yi Shiwen in disbelief. They couldn't believe that Yi Shiwen dared to do it. Killing people under their noses, for them, this is the most incredible place. They never thought that they would end up here. Originally, they thought it would be a relatively easy mission. After all, Yi Shiwen is useless no matter how powerful he is. There are 7 of them, and they can grind Yi Shiwen to death. Yi Shiwen sneered and said, "I just killed a bedbug, now it's your turn. Do you come together or one by one?" Yi Shiwen breathed a sigh of relief, his whole body relaxed, and his mind was calm. He had already given up, and he had no choice but to let go and fight with all his strength. What's more, he would not die here anyway. Good chance. Examining the practice of this period of time, these opponents are all powerful enemies. Only by constantly defeating the powerful enemies, one by one, can they be invincible. Even Yi Shiwen had a crazy idea, which was to use the terrifying external pressure of these 6 people to force himself to break through. Breaking through between life and death was often the most effective means. Court death. Insanity. Yi Shiwen was quickly angered by these proud sons. Whether they were from other branches or from other forces across the country, there was no doubt that they were the top geniuses of their forces. How could they have suffered so much? What's more, they just regarded Yi Shiwen as meat on the chopping board. When they cut it down depends on their mood. Now the meat on the chopping board is about to fight back. They suddenly felt a sense of humiliation that their dignity was being challenged, and they burst out. Kill! The 6 of them shouted loudly and rushed towards Yi Shiwen. The 6 of them were the leaders of their respective forces, and they all had at least one innate skill on their backs, and they had already cultivated them to a very high level. At this time, all kinds of martial arts rushed towards Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen finally pulled out the long knife behind him. Yi Shiwen waved the long knife, and instantly threw a dazzling knife light, fiercely towards those who came the martial arts charged to go. Boom! There was a terrifying loud noise, the whole air was shaking, and countless smoke and dust were instantly raised. Yi Shiwen was wrapped in innate chi, soaring into the sky, stepping on the steps of the gods, not retreating but advancing, all the way to the middle of the 6 people. The long knife flew horizontally, and the knife light splashed. Ah! Another dancer who was at the peak of the acquired duel level couldn't escape Yi Shiwen's attack, and was cut in half by the sword light. This is the most terrifying battle. In just a split second, a master was beheaded. The remaining 5 were even more merciless, and they took their lives to death. Even Yi Shiwen was hit several times when he stepped on the fairy step, and the wounds on his body cracked open. Yi Shiwen, you are very strong. I admit that you are very strong, but in the face of so many of us, you have no chance of winning at all, so you should just grab it, you won't really die in this magic realm. The young man in Huapao said. Even with his arrogance, he has to admit that Yi Shiwen is simply outrageously strong. None of the 7 of them is the top powerhouse in their respective forces, and any one of them can be said to be contemptuous of their peers, but now it is impossible to take action against one person together. That's all, he actually beheaded 2 of them face to face, and started the most tragic fight with them. He couldn't help but admit that Yi Shiwen was indeed very powerful. Yi Shiwen sneered, didn't answer, fought with blood. The wound on his body could not make him retreat, but it only made him realize more clearly. Although he won't die in this phantom realm, he can't have a fluke mentality and must be treated as if he lives from 9 dead. If you slack off, you will lose all your efforts. At this time, it is really delusional to want to shake his determination with words. Hey! With a faint sound of breaking through the air, a dagger had already rushed in front of Yi Shiwen, but it was the young man with a short stature. His speed was extremely fast and his movements were very strange, like a poisonous snake in the dark. Makes people look terrified. In front of Yi Shiwen, the young man in the robe threw a punch. The golden punch seemed to illuminate the whole world, and the air twisted and burst in his punch. Yi Shiwen's eyes were icy cold. In his body, the spiritual stones were burning wildly. Countless spiritual energy was injected into that special space. A lot of martial arts experience poured into Yi Shiwen's mind. It is no exaggeration to say, Yi Shiwen is getting stronger and stronger. With 1 on 5, ordinary people have long lost their confidence. For ordinary people, there is no possibility of victory at all, but Yi Shiwen refused to give up hope of victory in the slightest. This blow is extremely thrilling. Whether it is the short young man or the young man with a robe, he is no less than a terrifying opponent. Outside, there is that charming woman holding a mirror and is constantly emitting bursts of divine light. In the place, even the space will be distorted, and the power is extremely terrifying. Yi Shiwen encountered the biggest crisis in his life. Yi Shiwen's eyes flashed with a crazy look, the long knife danced, and 9 knife shadows danced in the air with almost no gap. Boom! The punch of the young man in Huapao slammed into Yi Shiwen's body. Yi Shiwen received the punch, blood spurted out, and his black hair flew up, but Yi Shiwen's body was like gold and iron, and he actually held back and didn't move a step. On the contrary, continued to wield the long knife to kill the short young man. Boom! Yi Shiwen slashed down with a knife, flying the short young man's dagger, and then Yi Shiwen slashed out 9 sword shadows, blocking all his escape routes. Recommend a friend's book. Awesome and awe-inspiring, by Emperor Tianzi. Everyone is familiar with Tianzi's book. It used to have iron bones and a high subscription ratio. It also created an entertainment genre that started from the past, and the recent arrogance and awe-inspiring well-written too. Although the emperor is currently in hospital, he is still very dedicated and insists on updating. If you like to read historical and military texts, you can go and see it. Chapter 97 Breakthrough, Annate's second layer. No matter where he fled, that short young man couldn't escape Yi Shiwen's sword curtain. This was a terrifying sword curtain. Yi Shiwen had already mastered the new moon slash to the point where he could see through all the flaws of the short young man in an instant, and the 9 knives he cut out instantly completely blocked the short young man. PFF'd. The short young man stood there blankly, as if he didn't do anything, and forced Yi Shiwen to kill him. In fact, it wasn't that he didn't do anything, it was that he couldn't do anything, no matter what. It was useless to do it. No matter where he fled, Yi Shiwen had a knife against them. In the end, he could only be beheaded by Yi Shiwen, and he was suffocated to death. The remaining 4 masters were all crazy. In a short period of time, Yi Shiwen had already killed 3 of their masters, especially the short young man, who was the top master among them. Slaughtered. Looking for death, the charming woman shouted coquettishly. The mirror in her hand shone brightly, and beams of divine light blasted out directly towards Yi Shiwen. Boom, boom, boom. There were bursts of terrifying explosions, and Yi Shiwen used his palm to block those divine lights. Yi Shiwen's body, which was like gold and iron, was shattered by his palms, and his flesh was blurred. The true chi in Yi Shiwen's body was also running wildly. Breakthrough, breakthrough, only breakthrough. Although he beheaded the short young man, he also suffered a punch from the young man in Chinese clothing, and his physical injuries became more and more serious. Yi Shiwen didn't run away. If he bet again, if he can break through in battle, he has no other choice. If he can't break through in battle, it will only be a dead end. Yi Shiwen let out a clear whistle, and the infuriating energy on his body was used layer by layer like an ocean wave. The black hair was scattered, the wounds all over his body were cracking, and blood was splashing. From a distance, it was simply the reincarnation of an ancient killing god. In Yi Shiwen's eyes, he was a little dazed. Countless information kept repeating in his mind, and the true chi in his body was running wildly. Only mechanically resisted the attack of the four, leaving only a trace of consciousness to manipulate the body to resist. The main consciousness has been completely immersed in the space of the martial god, and the progress of the realm is madly realized. That is, Yi Shiwen can do it, because he is used to it, but he used to put the main spirit outside, but now the main spirit is put in the Valkyrie space. Bang! Yi Shiwen was blasted away again, the muscles in his chest spattered, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Ha ha ha, he is not far from death. The young man in the middle of the robe said with a smile. The other three all felt relieved. After all, this Yi Shiwen was too difficult to deal with. 7 people surrounded him to kill one, and he actually killed 3 of them. If it was one-on-one, it was not his at all. The opponent, such an opponent, was finally pushed to the end of the road by them, and they could finally kill him. Suddenly they found that Yi Shiwen in front of them had changed, and a majestic aura rose into the sky. In Yi Shiwen's eyes, the clarity was restored in an instant. Yi Shiwen's aura was rising steadily, and soon reached a peak. But Yi Shiwen's momentum did not stop, but made further breakthroughs, little by little. Stop him, don't let him break through. The charming woman suddenly shouted loudly, her voice was a little sharp, and he immediately knew what Yi Shiwen was doing. He was also a master in the innate realm, of course he knew, what is Yi Shiwen doing? Originally, Yi Shiwen was already very difficult. If Yi Shiwen was allowed to break through, would they still have a way out? But it was already too late. Yi Shiwen's aura finally broke through the obstacles and directly reached the second level of innate. The true chi in Yi Shiwen's body also directly transformed into a 60% increase in strength. After breaking through to the innate second layer realm, even Shangguan Xuanyi can compete with the first class, let alone the people in front of him. Yi Shiwen glanced at the 4 of them coldly, and the young man in Huapao rushed over quickly, and the golden fists formed a tornado that swept towards Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen sneered. Panlong's palm was filmed. This is the first time Yi Shiwen used Panlong's palm in actual combat. When the dragon came out of the abyss, there was a faintly huge dragon jumping into the abyss and soaring up. This is Panlong's palm. A scene from the dragon's palm. The power of the Panlong palm almost turned into a long roar, and it flew towards the golden tornado. It opened its powerful claws and grabbed it directly, cracking the golden whirlwind. Then the palm force slammed into the young man in the Chinese robe. PFF'd. The young man in the Chinese robe spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body flew upside down. On the way, he turned into a stream of light and disappeared. At this time, the divine light in that charming woman's mirror had already slashed in front of Yi Shiwen. When Yi Shiwen was about to be slashed to death, the long knife behind Yi Shiwen suddenly moved, and a terrifying blade slashed out in an instant. Those gods that came in the face were directly annihilated by these swords, and after annihilating those gods, the swords were unabated and slashed directly at the charming woman. That charming woman did not expect Yi Shiwen to be so powerful. Even his divine light was split one after another, and he was split into 2 halves before he had time to dodge. The remaining 2 masters of the acquired dual peak looked at Yi Shiwen in disbelief. They couldn't believe it. It didn't take long for the situation to change suddenly. Originally, they still had the upper hand. After a short time, the situation was reversed, and Yi Shiwen had the upper hand, directly killing the young man in the robe and the charming woman. This reversal of the situation made it difficult for them to accept. However, after the 3 strongest masters were all beheaded by Yi Shiwen, there was no way for them to escape Yi Shiwen's pursuit. Soon several people reappeared in Wangyu Peak, and their faces were abnormally ugly. I didn't expect that so many of them would go to kill one person together, but they were killed. They thought that it was not realistic. It's a pity that there is no way to kill Yi Shiwen, but now I'm very fortunate. Fortunately, it is not reality. Otherwise, they will definitely die. More ruthless. Chapter 98 Going to the Confluence. Almost a month later, in a scorched earth in the Phantom Realm. Drink. With a clear roar, Yi Shiwen danced a sword shadow, splitting the phantom in front of him directly in half. This beast at the peak of the third level of congenital innate was not Yi Shiwen's opponent at all, but it was split into two halves with a single strike. The phantom demon killed by Yi Shiwen was transformed into demonic energy and absorbed by the mysterious space in Yi Shiwen's mind. Yi Shiwen immediately understood the martial arts a little more. Yi Shiwen shook his head. It was very difficult to kill the phantom demon at the peak of the third level of congenital a month ago. Now there is no pressure at all. He even fought against a phantom demon of the fourth level of congenital nature 5 days ago. After being seriously injured, he let it escape. Although the combat power of the phantom demons is low, and they are at the bottom of many demons, it is enough to see that Yi Shiwen's strength is far beyond the peak of the innate third-level innate energy that transforms 60% of his true energy, and he can even compete against the transformation to a certain extent. 70% of the innate fourth-level masters are infuriating. In the past month, Yi Shiwen was not in a hurry to find everyone in Qingfeng Mountain to reconcile. These phantom demons became Yi Shiwen's best training targets. In just over a month, Yi Shiwen's various martial arts have made great progress. Among them, the most progress is Lianxi Gong. With the Lianxi Gong that he finally practiced, Yi Shiwen's current he can change his appearance and aura at will without being recognized, which means that now Yi Shiwen can completely change himself into a strong man. The innate realm of Tianxianbu has also been practiced to the realm of Shaocheng. The speed is faster, and the movements are more elegant and elegant. The last style of Cold Moon / Full Moon / finally entered the realm of Shaocheng from the peak of entering the room a few days ago. In the first style of Panlong's Palm, the Qianlong Chuyuan has also reached the realm of small success, and the power has doubled. Yi Shiwen can compete with the masters of the fourth level of the innate. Close double angle bracket. Even if Yi Shiwen's innate energy is consumed once, about 10% of Yi Shiwen's innate ingenuity is consumed. Even with Yi Shiwen's present innate ingenuity, he can only emit it 6 times, so it can only be used as a trump card at the bottom of the box. And Yi Shiwen spent a large part of his energy during this time on deducing the content of the second layer of Hegemony Body Art. The content of the second layer of Hegemony Body Art was deduced and practiced to the peak of the first glimpse of the door, and Yi Shiwen's power finally doubled again, breaking from the original power of 19 flying dragons to the power of 39 flying dragons in one fell swoop. It has reached the peak of transforming 60% of innate Qi. But fortunately, this time, I did not consume much spirit stones. The main reason is that 3,000 middle-grade spirit stones were spent to deduce the second level of Hegemony Body Art, and now Yi Shiwen still has 2,000 middle-grade spirit stones left. It's fairly wealthy. The main reason is that in the Phantom Realm, the magical energy formed after the death of these half-energy phantoms can be absorbed by Yi Shiwen, which greatly solves Yi Shiwen's crisis of needing energy. This is also the reason why Yi Shiwen did not rush to reconcile with everyone in Qingfeng Mountain, but was alone in the fantasy world. Yi Shiwen didn't want his ability to absorb demonic energy to be exposed to the public. That mysterious space was where he stood. The fundamental reason. Although without that mysterious space, Yi Shiwen is confident that he can break into a world, but it is not so easy after all. This space is like a huge road roller, flattening the road leading to the road ahead, but the road that should be taken still has to be taken, but it is easier to walk, so it will not look like some crooked people. Method: what are the consequences? Yi Shiwen counted the time, and it was almost time to go out. The time for the assessment was about a month. During this time, Yi Shiwen himself did not know how many phantom demons he had killed. The harvest is that it has broken through to the second level of innate. With that alone, it's worth it. Now is the time to meet everyone in Qingfeng Mountain. In the past month or so, Yi Shiwen has heard news from everyone several times. After all, Yi Shiwen is a serious enemy, except for the Iceland branch, that is, the 7 masters that Hu Yuanhang found. But those 7 masters have been slaughtered by Yi Shiwen, and no one from that side has come over since then. Now, obviously, Hu Yuanhang feels that the lineup of these 7 masters is already very strong against Yi Shiwen, and there is no need to look for others, but now he has received news of their 7 failures outside, and he is probably angry. Come on, the team of 7 top experts was slaughtered by Yi Shiwen. If he encounters those 7 people now, Yi Shiwen doesn't have to fight as hard as before to defeat them. He can easily kill them all without any difficulty. Even if the 7 people came to ask for trouble after going out, Yi Shiwen was not afraid of him at all. After receiving the merit, Yi Shiwen quickly headed towards the direction of everyone in Qingfeng Mountain that he had just obtained. Although this illusory demon realm is very large, it is no different than the real martial arts realm. It is not difficult to spread the news, especially for these martial arts practitioners. In a remote valley, the people from Qingfeng Mountain and the Jade Girl sect actually got together. The 2 leaders were the eldest disciple of Yi Feng and the Jade Girl sect, the eldest grandson Yuyan. On the opposite side of the 2, there was also a group of people who were shaking their heads against them. The one headed was Shangguan Xuanyi from the Iceland branch, and behind him followed the people from the Iceland branch. Beside him, there were actually 2 young people standing. One was dressed in purple robes, and the other was dressed in yellow robes, with a strange appearance and unusually prominent brow bones. The strength of these 2 people is actually not inferior to Shangguan Xuanyi. From a distance, you can also see the members of the Shenhe branch sect and many disciples of the branch, all watching from a distance. Junior sister Changsun, you should hand over the magic sound flute. Shangguan Xuanyi stepped forward and said with great bearing. The beauty you think, the magic sound flute was obtained by me and big brother Yi when we were born and died, why do you want to leave? The eldest grandson Yuyan said coldly. Don't talk nonsense with them, just grab it. The strange-looking yellow-robed youth said coldly. Happy Shishi festival everyone, let's play Lianliangkan, if you can break up a pair, it's a pair. Oh, and also, everyone stopped voting, stopped clicking, it has plummeted in the past 2 days. Chapter 99. The eccentric young man in yellow robe had an icy expression on his face, and he didn't care at all. Since the eldest sister is unwilling to give up her love, then don't blame me for being cruel, do it. Shangguan Xuanyi said fiercely. The people from the Iceland branch behind him and people from other forces also immediately pressed towards the disciples of the Jade Girl branch and the Qingfeng Mountain branch. Among these disciples, there are also masters of the innate realm. The disciples of the Jade Girl branch sect and the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect. Although they tried their best to resist, the opponents are numerous and powerful. They are just people from the Iceland branch sect, and their strength is not there. Under the Jade Girl sect, it is actually 1 point stronger than the Jade Girl sect, not to mention that the Qingfeng Mountain sect's strength is obviously a lot worse. The innate realm, the level of Wu Hao and Qian Wanru who have just broken through, is just 5 people. The flow of people from the 2 sides just collided, and several disciples from the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect and the Jade Girl branch sect turned into a stream of light and disappeared and were beheaded. The eldest grandson Yuyan and Yi Feng both went up to meet Shangguan Xuanyi and the purple-robed youth and the strange yellow-robed youth. If Yi Shiwen was here, it would be strange. Yi Feng had not seen him for a short time, but he had already reached the peak of the 3rd level of the innate, and he was no different from Shangguan Xuanyi and the others. And the rounds between the moves are even more clever than these people. Although Yi Feng and Changsun Yuyan joined forces, the other 3 were not under Yi Feng and Changsun Yuyan at all. Soon, Yi Feng and the 2 fell into the disadvantage. At this time, there was a trace of anxiety on their faces. The reason why Yi Feng and the eldest grandson Yuyan showed an anxious look was because they fell into the disadvantage completely. If this goes on, only I'm afraid it won't take long before we lose the battle. The Shangguan Xuanyi and the 3 also strive to defeat the 2 in the shortest possible time, but also to preserve their strength, otherwise, Yan Qilin, who is next to him, has been waiting. They didn't want Yan Qilin to get cheap in the end, and the best way was to defeat the eldest grandson Yuyan and the 2 of them with thunder, so that Yan Qilin, who was about to move, could be deterred. For the magic flute, the 3 of them are bound to win. The 5 people fought all the way, and the 5 people's skills were more powerful than everyone else. The fighting was earth-shattering, the air was shaking and the whole earth was shaking, as if it was about to be shaken. The other disciples also slaughtered and formed a group, but they all had a tacit understanding and did not have a battle group close to 5 people. The strength of the 5 people was far beyond them. It passed, even if it was only swept away by the aftermath, for many disciples, especially the acquired realm. For the disciples, it is also a dead end. Damn, these people from the Iceland branch are really abominable. Xian Wanru gritted her teeth and said angrily, but in front of her, she was also a congenital expert, extremely difficult to deal with, to actually unite with outsiders to bully us. The outsiders that Xian Wanru was talking about were of course disciples who did not come from a branch sect, but were directly worshipped in the sect from outside. Compared to the disciples in the main sect, each branch can only be regarded as a branch, but compared to these people who originally belonged to the major forces, they can be regarded as their own people with strong roots. In general, over the years, during the assessment, people who secretly divided into sects and people who were not divided into sects could be regarded as 2 distinct camps. And relatively speaking, although the various branches are rivals, they are generally closer to those outsiders. That's why Qian Wanru said it, in conjunction with outsiders. But regret is useless now. It's just that these disciples didn't expect that it should have been an adventure, but it turned into this in the end. After the news was leaked, it attracted countless people's prying eyes. Fighting with them, the bastards have been bullying too much these years. Wu Hao shouted, if it were in another small world, seeing that the other party was so much better than himself. The people of the 2 sects may have given up. Although the things are good, they have to have their lives to use them. However, in this phantom realm, it is different. Anyway, they will not die, so they will let go. Fighting, the big deal is death. Anyway, they will be resurrected outside soon, so the disciples on both sides are simply unscrupulous when they fight. Yes, kill these bastards, these bastards. Another disciple of the Qingfeng Mountain branch roared in agreement. There are also the female disciples of the delicate Jade Maiden branch sect. At this time, they are all roaring one by one. Although they are women, they are all outstanding among the branch sects. Even if they came to the main sect, so none of the branch disciples dared to be disrespectful to them. They were disrespectful, and they were all so beautiful. Many male disciples coaxed them when they saw them. Immediately, the morale of the disciples of the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect and the Jade Girl branch sect was boosted. Anyway, the big deal was to die and then go out to resurrect. Anyway, they had already achieved the results they wanted in the assessment. In fact, it is more about examining the strength, and it may not be possible to survive to the end to enter a better branch. In the past, there were some geniuses who were very unlucky and encountered extremely powerful phantoms as soon as they entered. They came out not long after entering, but they were still some high-level executives with bright eyes are admitted to the door. It can be said that it has been almost a month, and the investigation is almost finished, and it does not matter if he is dead or not. Since you want to die, then I will fulfill you. The eccentric yellow-robed youth suddenly said fiercely and viciously. Obviously, he was extremely angry at the ignorance of the Qingfeng Mountain branch sect and the Jade Girl branch sect, and there was no one who could stop him from what he had to do on weekdays. That weird yellow-robed young man handed down the hand of the sad leaf hand, which made him superb, and joined forces with the green-robed young man to besiege Yi Feng. Under the attack of the 2 of them, Yi Feng immediately seemed to be dwarfed by the 2. One-on-one, Yi Shiwen is not afraid of anyone, but they were 2-on-1, which made him at a disadvantage from the beginning. Yi Feng glanced at the eldest grandson Yuyan beside him, gritted his teeth and said, if you want to get the magic flute, just step over our corpse. The yellow-robed youth sneered, then go to hell. The young man in yellow robe launched with all his strength, his infuriating energy overflowed, and the whole air was rippling. Yi Feng had to resist with all his strength. A negligence revealed a flaw. The easy young man seized this opportunity and kicked it out like lightning. Suddenly, a terrifying sword chi descended from the sky and slashed at the young man in green. Chapter 101 Knife Spike. Suddenly, a terrifying sword chi descended from the sky and slashed at the young man in green. The young man in Xingyi hurriedly avoided, and was almost hit by life, roaring, "Who?" In the distance, you can see a cyan figure appearing on the horizon, coming with a knife. Little brother. Seeing the cyan figure, Yi Feng was overjoyed and shouted. It was Yi Shiwen who came. Yi Shiwen came with a knife and said lightly, "It's too early to be proud now." Everyone's eyes turned to Yi Shiwen, but they didn't expect the form to reverse again at this time. The knife just now could be cut from such a distance. Yi Shiwen has been in this period of time. I'm afraid he has made great progress again. Yan Qiling could see clearly in the distance, because of the distance. In fact, it was he who first discovered Yi Shiwen, although Yi Shiwen was not far from the battlefield at that time. He saw Yi Shiwen's knife completely in his eyes, and he couldn't help being surprised. Of course he didn't know about Yi Shiwen. In fact, he knew some of the people who were most in contact with each branch. After all, they were competitors. How could they not understand even some weaker branches are the same? Not to mention that Yi Shiwen had made quite a lot of noise before, but he was just paying attention and didn't take it too seriously. The strength that Yi Shiwen showed in the past was, at best, to compete with the general innate triple layer, which is impossible to compare. Those who have passed the peak of the congenital triple peak like him are worthy of his real attention. In fact, there are only a few people to talk about, and they add up to 5 or 6 people. Yi Shiwen just made him pay attention, but he didn't get to the point of fear, but only now did he realize that Yi Shiwen seemed to have made a breakthrough again, possessing a real strength that was no less than the peak of the innate third layer. Originally, Yi Feng's unexpectedly possessing the strength of the congenital triple peak was enough to surprise him. Unexpectedly, now another Yi Shiwen has appeared. There were actually 2 top-notch experts, and the number of them even surpassed the old-fashioned branches like the 3 major branches. I'm afraid I really want to be famous for the chief sect. Who are you? You dare to attack me? The youth in Xing Yi shouted angrily. Qingfeng Mountain Branch, Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen replied lightly. Looking for death. The young man in Xing Yi was furious. He was almost beheaded, which made him furious. In an instant, he stepped on Yi Shiwen, kicked his right leg like lightning, and kicked out the storm, and charged directly towards Yi Shiwen. Come over. Yi Shiwen slashed out with one knife. Yi Shiwen swung it vigorously, and the sharp knife slashed out one after another. Boom! The 2 terrifying forces collided fiercely, the air rubbed violently, and a terrifying sound came out. And then instantly annihilated into the invisible. The youth in Xing Yi also didn't expect that Yi Shiwen was so strong, and thought that Yi Shiwen was just a sneak attack, but he didn't expect that he was no worse than him in the fight. No, it can't be dragged on like this. The young man in Xing Yi thought that if it dragged on like this, the whole plan would be completely shelved. Now that they are 3 on 3, if they can't end the battle in a short time, then Yan Kai, who is watching the battle from a distance, will be completely put on hold. How could Ling miss such a good opportunity? The youth in Xing Yi's face was as deep as water, and he shouted loudly, "The wind is coming to the world." This is his family's unique leg technique, and the level has reached the innate realm. With this leg technique, his family has also made a lot of fame in his hometown. At this time, he has no reservations. When it broke out, Yi Shiwen must be killed first. Bang! It was another slam dunk, and the young man in Xing Yi took a few steps back. Just when he was about to continue his attack, he saw Yi Shiwen sneered and said, "Do you only have this level?" The young man in Xing Yi suddenly changed his face. He murmured, "How is that possible?" He saw that Yi Shiwen didn't move at all. He knew how powerful the opponent was just now. He took a few steps back, but Yi Shiwen didn't move at all. How can it be so strong? Yi Shiwen sneered. Just now he just tried the strength of this young man in Xing Yi, and now he is completely sure. The young man in Xing Yi struck first, his legs swept out the wind in the sky, and the shadows of his legs swept towards Yi Shiwen. Full moon cut. Yi Shiwen really slashed out a knife. This knife was extremely powerful. The knife chi swept up, and slashed it fiercely. Although Yi Shiwen had not completely mastered the full moon slash to the fullest, he could not cut the artistic conception, but this move was real, having reached the power of the innate realm. Except for Pan Long Palm. None of the moves Yi Shiwen has mastered is stronger than this one, but Pan Long Palm consumes too much true energy, so it can only be used as the bottom of Yi Shiwen's pressure box. The existence of the trick. Boom. The tyrannical infuriating fluctuations broke out in the field in an instant, and the fierce gangfeng, like a tsunami, raged. Everyone stared at this scene dumbfounded. The entire venue was silent at that moment, In front of the terrifying destructive power of this knife, the offensive of the young man in green clothes was completely disintegrated and crushed down. It was a kind of terror. The rolling posture is presented. The young man in green clothes also turned into a stream of light in the terrifying sword aura and disappeared into the phantom realm. One move. Yan Chilling, who was watching the battle from a distance, looked at the scene in front of him with some astonishment. Unexpectedly, the young man in Xing Yi, who was similar in strength to himself, was instantly killed by Yi Shiwen. Not counting the previous probing knife, Yi Shiwen's full-strength shot was so terrifying. He asked himself that his strength and that young man in green clothes were only between equals, and they were similar to each other. If this young man in green clothes could only be killed by one move, how could he be better? Everyone was stunned. They thought it would be a fierce battle, but unexpectedly, it was a one-sided battle. They didn't know that Yi Shiwen could compete with some of the 4th-level congenital phantoms, and he even seriously injured a 4th-level phantom. One of the weakest, but it is enough to prove that Yi Shiwen's strength, even if he is not at the 4th level of the innate, far exceeds that of the average master of the peak of the 3rd level of the innate. Speaking of the 100th chapter, this is the first 100 chapters of this book. It's a milestone, right? Also, did everyone go to the Shishi festival today? There are no people. I don't like to collect, I don't click, I don't recommend spreading.